we are going to rank every single coach in the NBA from the absolute worst coach to the absolute best coach. And this is going to be interesting because it's some coaches in between that we have to decipher where they should be and whatnot. And I was just having a good conversation with my good friend Mars and Chill. And they believe that, well, most of the coaches in the NBA are actually very good.
Yes. Yes.
And so it's going to be tough. As you know, it's harder to rank when everybody's around that same tier. So it's going to be tough for us to figure out, well, exactly why this coach is better than this coach or what makes this coach actually worse than the other one. So we're going to work through all of that. Happy to have you guys on the panel. Come in. It's going to be a good show. Grab your popcorn, like the video, and we are going to get right into it. But here's what we're going to do before we do that. I have a list of somebody else's top 10 coaches. And what's going on, Penn?
It's good.
I want you guys to talk to me about how you feel about this list and whether they got it right. And hopefully, if they got it wrong, then we can get it right. But here's what it looks like. Top 10 coaches. This is from, who's it from? Dylan Backer. He said, no Tom Thibodeau on here is absolutely wild. So it's not his list. He's reacting to it. It's from Buckets, I see. But how are you guys feeling about this?
I think Steve Kerr is way too high. And I don't have Greg Popovich as the top 3 coach anymore. I don't think Pop is as good as he used to be.
I think Nick Nurse is way too high.
It's a bunch of good coaches in the league today. Mm-hmm.
Nick Nurse too high. Interesting.
I think Rick Carlisle is too high too. I don't think Rick Carlisle is a top 10 coach in the game.
I think Ime's too low, but
I do too.
I think I put him top 10.
I don't think it's horrible, but it's not the list I have. But it's not like they have Doc Rivers in the top 10, so it's like, oh, okay.
No, that's not going on.
This is over prioritizing championships way too much.
Which
the top 6 coaches are all NBA champions. 7 coaches. 7 coaches are champions. And Rick Carlisle won a championship, but it was like, what have you done for me lately? He hasn't won a championship since 2011. So, I mean, if you're asking me Mark Daigneault versus Ty Lue, Joe Mazzulla, come on, man, give me a break. Mark Daigneault clears those guys.
Well, let me ask you this question. What's the separation? And I have watched a couple of times. How far is Steve Kerr from Will Hardy? I don't think the separation is like, I don't think it's like
that. Ask that again, Chill.
What's the separation? What is the separation between Steve Kerr and Will Hardy? I don't think it's that far, if I'm being honest with you. I don't. I do not think that those
guys. That's a compliment to Will Hardy or a disrespect to Steve Kerr?
I think Will Hardy is a damn good coach. I do. I think he's a damn good coach.
Joe, is Steve Kerr catching strays for benching your boy?
Right no.
Okay.
No.
I forgot about that.
No. That's not the problem. The problem that I have with Steve Kerr is a lot of these coaches that we talk about as being good coaches. I mean, they're multifaceted, where they're able to do a number of different things. Steve Kerr has still to this day, since he first got the job, he still has yet to handle the big man. And the big man is in the game. He does not know how to adjust to the big man. Still, even though he's had a number of different coaches on his staff, he still doesn't know how to coach the big man. He had the big man in the FIBA World Games. He also had the big man in the Olympics, and he still doesn't know how to do it. And it translates over into the NBA. And there's going to be some people who talked last night. For example, last night, I think they hit 28 threes. Oh, the Warriors are – okay, is it ridiculous to think that a jump shooting team like the Golden State Warriors is going to hit 25 threes in the game? I don't think that's ridiculous.
Buddy Hill shooting them. I ain't going to lie. Buddy Hill shooting
to give
I told y'all Buddy Hill was going to go over there and look different.
Hey, they telling me the new Clay all of a sudden. He no hesitation.
This is all I'm trying to say.
His flowers, he did adjust from having Harrison Barnes to having Kevin Durant. Got that team to work through it. And then he got Andrew Wiggins. I mean, does he get any credit for switching 3 of the key pieces of his championship team?
He doesn't, because you could have coached that team.
No, I couldn't.
The KD team?
Well, I could have coached that team.
Okay.
Well, what I don't want to do, Ox, I don't want to undermine it because it wasn't as simple as just rolling the balls out. No, it wasn't that simple, Ox. He still had to he had to come up with schemes.
2017, 18, 19, chill. Any professional basketball coach, you have to try to ruin that.
But here's the thing, though, Ox, and I get what you're saying.
You got to try to ruin that, Ron.
I want to talk about this with every coach because it's coaches right now that are a good coach because they have a good situation. Joe Mazzulla. Even though I have Joe Mazzulla high on my list, but I can't knock him for having a good situation. But here's the thing with Steve Kerr. Before he got potentially the best team to ever be assembled, he had a team that wasn't as good as the best team that was ever assembled. And yes, it was a good team, but what he implemented on that team, i.e. small ball with Draymond, i.e. the sets that he ran for Clay and Steph, and just putting him in position to be successful, he coached that team to a championship team. He exceeded all of our expectations before that. At that moment in time, we thought Steve Kerr was a phenomenal coach. Then he got Kevin Durant and some other things happened, and then we realized that he couldn't use James Wiseman and everybody else. Then we started throwing rocks at Steve Kerr. But before that, Steve Kerr was an amazing coach.
Ron, I'm
so
not
it's like,
maybe so,
yes,
but
we can knock him about that, but
since we're having this conversation, Ron, I want to ask specifically you, Penn, because this was something you made a fuss about yesterday. And my bad. Actually, you want to introduce our guest real quick, or you want me to keep?
He's not going to do that, Ox. No, he's not going to do that because company just walked in the house.
That was my fault because I cut you off. Ron.
Company just walked in the house, and Ron ain't going to say nothing. Just gonna stand here.
Coach Hill said Coach Hill said he watches. He familiar with us. He just seen our sets. He know how to get in and make things happen. He can flow with the offense. What's going on, Coach?
What's up, man? I done seen it. Love what y'all do. You asked me to be a part, so I say I got time. So
what up, Coach? How you doing?
All right.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, so
yo, Coach, right quick though, Coach, where you from and where you coaching?
DC. I'm from DC.
Okay.
Yeah. Right now I'm in like Memphis, so I'll be around. I get around.
Okay. Yeah. Well, love your content on TikTok. You want to tell the people what your TikTok is?
24/7 basketball, but other than that, Coach Hill B-ball, Instagram, whatnot. So
love his content. Had to ask him to come up, talk some hoop with us. Obviously, this is the perfect episode from a coach to a coach. We're on here talking about coaches, so I would love to hear your insight. But we're gonna continue to keep it rolling.
Ain't this dude the coach right here too?
That's why I said from a coach to a coach. I was talking about Ox.
How come you'll never big him up, Ron? Ever?
This
is your man right here too, by the way. This ain't just some coach. This is your man. How come you'll never big him up?
Chill. Chill. I'm just saying, I didn't been on that sideline with Ox. Now I ain't gonna lie, Ox is a nice coach for real. Ox is real nice. Ox got sets. Ox, I love some of Ox's principles. Ox do his thing as a coach.
We don't argue for days about principles. So I'm like, well, I'm not running that. He's like, well, I'm not running this, but we work it out though. But I'm curious because, like I said, Penn, it seemed like you made a fuss about this a little bit yesterday, and so I'm curious to know what makes a good coach. And I'm curious to know everybody's kind of criteria before we go into this. Like, what did y'all rank y'all list on, and what's important to you in a coach, and why is that important to you as a coach? You know what I'm saying? What matters as a coach, and where do you pull your criteria from?
Can we start with a coach? Coach, what makes you a good coach?
You gotta be able to relate to your players. I think, like, if your players don't like you, it really don't matter. So you gotta be able to relate to them. If you can't relate to them, everybody throw out that word family, but you really gotta be kind of like a family. And in every family, you're not gonna love everybody. You're gonna joke on people. You're gonna hate on some people. That's just the way family is. But they gotta respect you. They don't respect you, they ain't gonna run through a wall for you. That's it. Yeah, that's why I got like Spo at the top of my list, because he can make a lot out of nothing. Yeah. He got Gabe Vincent paid. He got one of the Martin twins paid. So
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times when a coach tries something relatively new or innovative or throws some buzzwords like analytics around, a lot of people get really excited about how good this coach is. I think also youth typically helps when we're ranking out coaches in terms of like the buzz that the guy gets. Oh, he's got a job in the NBA as a head coach at 35. He must be a visionary coach. I think it actually speaks to what coach is saying. It's much easier for a guy who's 35, 37 to relate to his players than a guy who's 67. That's not always the case. Right. So in terms of what I use as criteria, certainly that. People management, right? How do you get people to buy into what you want? Number two, the consistency of effort that you get from your team on a night-to-night basis. That's, again, comes down to the personality, right? If you're honest with your players, if they know that you have their back, if they understand that you're not putting them in positions to fail and look bad, even if sometimes you are putting them in a position to look bad, sometimes that it's for their development, then they will run through a wall for you. And then if you can get that kind of buy-in from, it's just about being a good person on the court. It comes down to adjustments, understanding how to get the best out of your team, putting your team in positions to succeed, trying to weed out bad habits, managing and finessing the egos of multi-million-dollar athletes who have big deals and sometimes have more pull with the organization than you do. Sometimes it's timeout management, like knowing when to control the pace of the game and understanding when things are about to slip from you. I think a good example, Ox, was the WNBA game the other day with Liberty versus the Aces. And it was like the Liberty pulling away. I think it was the second quarter. And there was a player for, I want to say it was the Aces player. No, it was a Liberty player who bumped into her coach. Y'all remember that?
Jones.
Yeah. And then you immediately saw like a surge of confidence from the Aces, and it was a timeout right away. That's, you could tell, like literally the minute her player bumped into her, she's like, a run is coming, and you got to have that pulse. And then I think also like putting your players, optimizing the pieces you have. Anyone, you're saying like anyone can win with KD and Steph and whatever. I disagree. It's perfectly possible to lose with KD and Steph. We saw James Harden and KD and Kyrie not win. So you got to manage those egos, but you got to put those players in positions where they are most optimized, which means you got to know where Kevin Durant's going to be used. You need to be having some flexibility with the lineups. Like you may want to use KD in one place, but if he don't want to be used in that place, you're going to have to compromise. So I think a lot of that goes into what makes a good coach.
Right.
I could dig that. Yeah. You got to know what you're doing. And the players know right from the beginning if you don't know what you're doing. And you can, as quickly as you can get them, that's how quickly you can lose them. Because players recognize, because they're going to challenge you. Prime example would be Jimmy Butler when he got on the Miami Heat. He immediately was challenging Spo because he wanted to know exactly if Spo knew what he was doing. Even though Spo was proven, he wanted to know if Spo knew what he was doing. And he quickly got his respect. Now, when I get that from the leader and I get his respect, everybody else falls in line. Now, how do you manage the game? What I mean when I say how do you manage the game, okay, the half starts. The second half starts, we got a 11-point lead. This team comes out and they hit their first two shots. We call timeout. Well, why are you calling timeout? I'm calling timeout because there's a run that's about to start, and we want to stop that right from the beginning. We don't want to get that started. Greg Popovich was always good at that. I thought Phil Jackson was good at that too, to slow that down. Recognizing mismatches. When you got a guy who is not only too small to cover this guy, but also too big to cover this guy too, and going after him consistently. I saw Doc Rivers do that. Not Doc Rivers, I'm sorry. I saw who am I thinking of? Nick McMillan. I saw Nick McMillan do that when he had Seth Curry on the floor, and Bojan consistently went after he went after him doing that. So you have to know what you're doing. And what you know what you're doing, you have to be able to make you have to be able to make adjustments. And to Coach's point, you got to be able to relate to guys. Coach, I don't like you. I'm being honest with you. I don't. I can't stand you because all I hear you doing is yelling at me. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. However, you do turn me loose. You do let me do my thing. You are putting me in a position to win. You're not just yelling at me and sitting me on the bench. When you challenge me and I come back, you're not throwing me out of practice. So we do have somewhat of a love-hate relationship, but there is that respect there. That's why I will run through a wall for you. And it ain't always going to be great. There's some days when I'm like, Coach, I hate you and I don't want to play for you no more. But then there's some days where I can't imagine playing for anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, so like to me, when I'm watching though, I don't try to. I'm not trying to rank coaches off of stuff that I couldn't possibly know. You know what I mean? Like there's stuff that's going on with these teams that none of us know about, and like I don't try to assume those things. So I'm just kind of just going off based on what I'm seeing on the floor. Like I need there to be some type of consistency. You know what I'm saying? In like the offense, as far as like our pace and you know what I'm saying, motion and just not like not a lot of stagnant, not too much stagnant offense. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at stuff like that. I'm looking at making adjustments on the fly. making adjustments, sticking to your adjustments, or there's also sticking to your guns too. Because I also feel like a lot of times coaching gets overcomplicated where we're over adjusting. Like for me, I'm not going into game like, okay, they're doing this, this, and this. I got to adjust this. Well, I'm also thinking I got to make them adjust to me. So why should I like? I don't like coaches that do that all the time. Where it's like, oh, well, every time they do this, we got to do this. Like, well, hold on. Why are we always on the defensive? Let's go on the offensive and make them adjust to us too. So there's also times where you can over adjust, and I try to look out for that too. And it's just not being repetitive, not being too predictable. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like a coach that just has a system that they have to stick to, a coach that sticks to a system and they're going to do this. I think that's a bad coach. Not a bad coach, but that's not the coaching style I like. I'll say it that way.
But to interject really quickly, and I want you to keep going. Like if I have a system, for example, I got the triangle, and the triangle works. Am I a bad coach for putting this in? And
no, I don't think so. And that's why I didn't mean to say bad coach. My bad. So,
okay.
So I meant to say that's just the style that I don't prefer. I feel like a coach should have principles that they stick by. Certain principles on offense, certain principles on defense that they stick to, but you have to adjust to your squad. Like I can't if I just run a triangle all the time, I might come because like it's as a coach you're getting new players and they're coming through. So I might not have the same point guard I had 2-3 seasons ago. I can't, and he might not be the same style, not be able to run this, or my big man might not be able to run this. So I can still stick to my principles and switch up my flow to work with my team. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's just how I feel about it. Like I can't force something. Like as a team, the most important is that we're on the same page. If I want to do this and I'm right, and my team don't want to do this and we're bumping heads, or if my team want to do this and I don't and we're bumping heads, it's really not much future in that as far as winning until we get on the same page. So somebody got to adjust certain things, and I think as the coach, especially in today's game and especially at the NBA level we're talking about, some of these NBA players are some of the biggest divas in sports. So we got to be able to work with them, got to be able to adjust. And also being vocal. I'm looking for a coach that's vocal, like Mike Brown. He's vocal with his team. He's not playing with you like Keegan Murray. I've seen him shoot Keegan Murray out on the sideline. I've also seen him pump Keegan Murray up on the sideline. I've seen him do the same thing with De'Aaron. I've seen him do it with DeMontis, and that's not just him. It's a bunch of coaches, but obviously I'm using him as an example. You know why. And there's that, and then defensive intensity. I need a coach that's going to bring some defensive intensity out of you. So those are just things I look for, because those are things that I can actually judge on. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to pretend like I know something I don't know.
Coach, how do you feel about a coach that's vocal? How do you feel about a player that's vocal? What I mean when I say that is it your way or the highway, or when you tell me something and I can give you a different input on it? So, for example, how you feel about me playing in the pick and roll? All right, coach, I can get around this screen going on the top side. You want me to go under, but I think I can get around this screen on the top side because I feel like I'm a better defender.
Are you saying you asking me what again?
I'm asking you, coach. So how you feel about players that are vocal?
Just in general.
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends on the player. Like the better player you are, the more I listen. Probably, I'm gonna be honest with you. That guy on the end of the bench, like I'm not really listening to you because you ain't really helping me. But my top two, I'm gonna listen to you because you out on the floor. If you playing 40-minute game, I coach college or whatever, 40-minute game, and you out there 36 minutes, I'm gonna listen to you. Your input, you see things, you hear coverages and things like that. So It really goes on to the best player. The better the player you are, the more I'll listen to you. I mean, I'll see everything in film, but in the battle, in the middle of the game, I'm really on what I went over in practice or what I went over in the film room. Like, I already got this pre-planned. Like, you might could tell me that, but I need to hear from this guy or hear from this guy before it go full effect. Like,
fair enough.
Coach,
what about Killian Hayes ain't sitting in your coaching meetings, eh?
Killian Hayes not in the NBA no more, is he?
Yeah, he is. Ain't he in Brooklyn?
Is he?
Yeah,
he's gonna be that starting point guard. He's gonna win that job.
But he's not welcome in the coaching meetings, Mark.
When he makes that
if Killian Hayes was raised in the United States, he would have never touched the NBA.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
That's
he wouldn't touch the NBA because he
probably
all that EYBL, all the circuit basketball. he would have never made it to the NBA. He would have had to go to college. He never would have made it to the NBA.
Would he have possibly faced a different level of competition that might have helped a young, big guard like him with his passing develop better? Possibly.
I think it was developed more so overseas than it was the NBA in the United States.
That's fair. I
think he gets exposed in the United States if he was a high school kid in the United States.
Yeah, I'm thinking Killian Hayes is such an anomaly that he might have been the one player in NBA history who would have been better off in the United States. I don't know.
I don't think we know who he is.
Yeah.
But chill. So earlier you were talking about coaches that like calling timeouts to stop runs. And then you gave another example. Can't remember. But what about when you focus on that type of stuff in your development, like in your practicing, film study, shoot around, preseason, where it's like I got a team that I feel like I don't have to call a timeout every time another team goes on a quick run, where we, you know what I'm saying, we're practicing things like that. We're working through that.
Right.
Is there such thing as calling those timeouts too quick? Sometimes I think some coaches get praised for things that some coaches get critiqued for.
Well, it's not necessary to do it every time, Ox. There's times when a team goes on a 10-0 run, and I'm not calling timeout. Figure it out, work it out, because you have to work through adversity, depending on what it is, what's going on. Okay, we got to be able to come up with stops. We've gone over this more than once, more than twice. Stick back to the principles. Get around screens. Block out. Get rebounds. And I'm not calling timeout because this team cracked 2 threes. Or not cracked 2 threes. I'm not calling timeout because this team is on the glass. No, I'm not doing that. And the reason why I'm not doing that is because we went over that. Now, I might call timeout early in a half because this team came out in the second half and they cracked 2 threes to start the half. I want to stop that right from the beginning because I don't want them to get going. I don't want that rhythm to get going. However, if this team went on an 11-0 run and they're beating us with the dirty work stuff, yo, get on your job. I don't think that that's an X's and O thing. That's an effort thing. And I think that that's something that you guys have to work out.
That's what the other thing was too, Chill. First, I do want to say this. 10-0 run is crazy, Chill. But I do your thing, Coach. I ain't mad at you. But the other thing I was gonna say is about who you're accepting to hear shit from as far as your teammate, your team, right? I wanted to give an example of I had a point guard. She was my starting point guard. She was our team captain. You know what I'm saying? And we were playing in the tournament down in Vegas, and we're running the set. We're running Verde. That's our green package. You know what I'm saying? That's I can't disclose too much, but that's a set that we run. And
boy, Verde ain't nothing. You ain't disclosing nothing.
Ron, I ain't showing you my plays, Ron.
I know what Verde is. It ain't nothing.
Hell no.
It's two down screens and a curl in a high pick and roll. Verde ain't nothing.
So
you acting like he's doing something complex.
So anyway,
this ain't no Ivy League offense.
Chill. I'm talking about. I'm chill. So this the thing. We're getting looks though. The plays running. We're running the plays. She gets a baseline jumper wide open, misses. Somebody misses a layup. So things are starting to get a little intense. You know what I'm saying? We're going down at this point. Well, I call the timeout. She runs over. She said, "Coach, we got to do something else. It's not working." I'm like, "Sit your ass down. You're done. Sit there. Sit down." Because the thing is, it's working. You're missing shots. If I'm watching you run my sets and they're working, you're missing layups. You're missing a wide open jump shot.
We don't have to do something else. No, we don't.
You know what I'm saying? We don't. We have to. That's why we're in the gym working on our skill sets. That's why we have to be able to be proficient with both hands. That's why we have to be able to knock down open jump shots so that when you run my shit, we can score. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like, does it? Because Coach, you said that I would listen to my best player. This is my team captain. I'm not listening to your ass. I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? You gotta finish the play. So that's what I'm asking. Like, does it matter who's talking to you? Like, how coachable are you to be a good coach? Can you be over coachable? Like, can you be too much of a player's coach?
Yeah, you definitely can. Oh, I think he got his hand up.
If you want to answer the question, I can say.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Oh, it might change the subject a little bit though. I don't know if you want to
go ahead, Coach. Because Mars, I want you to get that off, and then I want to hear what's your thoughts on a good coach. What do you think makes a good coach?
I mean, I would say I'm a player's coach, but I coach my best player the hardest, and I let them know that like before the season, like you the goods, you the best player on the team. I let them know privately, like you the best player on the team. I'm gonna push you more than anybody on this team. And I guess every year they accepted it. That's just the way it is. They accept it, and they gonna know I'm gonna jump you on practice. I'm gonna jump you on games. That's just the way it is. I'd have had one kid say, "Nah, coach, I can't do that. You automatically wasn't my best player no more. Like I like your game, you just wasn't my best player no more. Because I got to be able to jump you so I could be able to jump everybody else. Like I can't jump this fifth man when I need to jump the number one man. If I could jump the number one man, the fifth man was like, yeah, that's cool because you told the number one he was sorry today. So, but I guess it's all how you. I definitely consider myself a player coach though. Like I'm gonna laugh, joke with you, things like that. So
that is literally one thing that stays true about coaching in high school, coaching D1, coaching NBA. If your best player refuses to be coached, you will not be a good team.
You're gonna lose the crew. You're gonna lose them. You're gonna straight lose your crew. If you can't, if that's the guy who we fall in line with. That's the guy who everybody falls in line with the best player. If the best player ain't on board, the crew ain't on board. And it doesn't make a difference what you say, how good your X and O's are, no matter how high your voice is. If you at odds with your best player, the rest of us, the crew is divided.
Mars, you want to talk to us?
Well, I wanted to ask to Ox's point about the plays he's running is generating the looks he wants. They just aren't scoring or making the shots but he doesn't have to switch out. So when the Rockets missed 27 straight threes, you don't think they had to switch out?
I've never. That's way different.
No, it's not. No, it's not, Ox. Because that's how we got here. No, it's not, Ox.
Wait. Let me ask the question. The thing is, it depends on what type of looks you're getting. So I can't really answer that question, Mars. I don't think they should have been shooting 27 straight threes. No.
Yeah, but you don't agree with how they played the whole year anyway. I know.
Right.
But so yeah, that's how they wanted to play. That was their plan.
65
they generated the looks they want for the most.
Yeah. So I mean, if that's what you want, if that's your team principle and that's what you're looking for, hey, shoot it till you break it. You know what I mean? Like I can't if that's your locker room, this is what we've practiced from when we got together in September or whenever they got together and they start building. They're like, yo, we're gonna shoot. Hey man, shoot it till your hand fall off. And if it doesn't work, then hey, as long as you go down the way you want to go down, that's cool. Now,
Ox, I can appreciate getting a layup, right? Because scorers, they need to see the ball go in, right? Once they see the ball go in, okay, one leads to two, sure, but. I mean, the Rockets won 65 games. And how'd they win 65 games? They was the fastest team in the league. They had the best offense in the league. They were tracking the long ball with the best of them. I think they had the best three-point team in the league. That's how we got here. So the fact that it fell apart at the end, I mean, we can't switch it up now. This is what
my thing too, like with coaching, kind of like unless something crazy happens, or if I see that the other team is doing something like I wasn't expecting, then mostly it's the defense. Like on defense, say if we're in the zone or something, and it might be like the first quarter and they're kind of shooting us out of it, so you might extend a little bit. Defense, I'm more apt to really stick with it. Like stick with it, and it's gonna wear down. If we're pressing them and they start getting some layups, that doesn't mean come out the zone, or come out the press yet. We're gonna break them down. They're gonna start giving us the ball. Keep going. On offense, it's a little more willing to switch up a little quicker. Just because mentality wise and player wise, players they're kind of more fragile about their offense. You know what I'm saying? So I could see making more adjustments that way with the offense to defensive wise. I'm more so like, nah, we're not coming out of that. Like by the third quarter, we're gonna have 12 steals and we're gonna be getting layups. So let's stick with it. But I know it sounds crazy. To answer your question around Mars, I guess you like Chill said, you want 65 games. Like let that thing ride.
This is what we're doing. Yeah, this is what we're doing. I mean,
all right,
John Wooden, I know it sounds crazy because it was in the 60s, but I don't know if y'all noticed, but John Wooden, he didn't watch film. They didn't watch any film. That was it. Yeah, he didn't watch any film.
You was there with him, not watching the film?
I was actually in the locker room. I was on the team, as a matter of fact. UCLA. Yeah, I was on.
John Wooden had bomb squats though. Like
with Jabbar. I was the one feeding Jabbar in the post. That was me.
That's no knock to John Wooden or his philosophy. First off, film just wasn't as readily available and it wasn't as popular. Like right now, you would obviously call a coach crazy if they didn't watch film. Back then, film was a new thing. So like sometimes you don't want to adopt to new philosophies just right away. But he also just had the best teams out there. So it's
Jabbar, Ron, cut it out. He had Jabbar.
He had Bill Walton. Bill Walton was nice.
Right. Bill, who was after Jabbar.
Yeah, he was after Jabbar. He had a mob, so you really couldn't do nothing.
Those were the only legendary players to come out of UCLA.
But hang on, this is also a cart and horse thing. There's a reason he had those guys. They wanted to play for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's also worth saying.
But for a coach, you get lucky one time. You get lucky one time, you can ride that success for a while, especially at certain levels.
Absolutely.
You know, like
look at the NBA.
If I get a crazy recruiting,
I've been waiting for the Doc Stray to come.
But I mean, that's a good point.
That's
though.
Doc Rivers.
If I get a bomb squad for 3 seasons and we just running through cats, I know I got 6-7 years to ride this. Like
10 more. You got a whole decade.
Doc will ride in 2008 or 2009 for like 15 years. But
come on,
but that's the mentality of NBA players, right? You come in with EuroLeague experience, like David Blatt, right?
I
love David Blatt.
Yeah,
if you watch David Blatt coach and in Maccabi or like he's incredible. Like I watched him coach live in Benetton, Treviso, 2005, 2006. I thought he was a fantastic coach. His teams were amazing. He won over 700 games. Comes to the NBA, they treat him like he's a water boy, right? And he refused that, and that's ego. And he can't get LeBron's buy-in, and so now suddenly Ty Lue is the guy. Look at what happened last year with Adrian Griffin, right? They fired him like he was the problem, right?
He was 33-13, right? When he got fired.
Yeah. And what did Doc Rivers do after that? Championship head coach Doc Rivers. You know,
wait a minute. Hold
14 and 15, right?
Let's
14, 15, 15,
let's put some
14.
context on this.
Yeah, Giannis did go down.
Not only did Giannis go down, but they had the easiest schedule in the league. That first half of the year to start, yes, they had the easiest schedule in the league, sure. And you did have Giannis at that time, so it looked a little bit different. So if Doc Rivers is there in the beginning, I didn't like that situation right from the beginning. It's nonsense. I already told y'all. No, you're not. What you're not going to do is you're not going to be advising me on how to handle my wife, and then turn out me and my wife break up, and then you marry her. No, that stinks to high heaven.
Oh yeah, you got played on for sure.
Yes, that stinks.
Oh man, it happens to the best of them.
No,
and players get played too.
Yeah.
How many times it happened to you, Ron?
Yo, so Mars. Before we get into this list, we're about to go from 30 all the way up to 1. Mars, I want to hear what qualifies a good coach for you, or what are some of the good characteristics that you see in most of the good coaches? And then after we hear this from Mars, I'm actually going to pull up the list from last year. So when we did it, we could see, where our heads were at and if we were right. And then we'll go ahead and dive into our list.
Monty Williams was on that list. He was high on that list.
I want to make sure. I want to make sure y'all know this.
But now he's washed, right? Monty Williams is washed. Frank Vogel is washed. All these guys who got fired are washed because they forgot how to coach. 12 seconds later, right? They were great and then they weren't, because that's what we do, right?
I wasn't here that day. I wasn't here that day. I remember I wasn't here for the coaching list. I had a dentist appointment that day, so
I was definitely.
So y'all can't blame me for this list.
You have a note?
Y'all like to do. Y'all like to blame me for every list. I had nothing to do with it.
I mean, your lack of presence made sure that the nonsense could carry on because you wasn't there to interrupt it. So, kind of blame you. Exactly, kind of blame you. Yeah,
you did have something to do with that, though.
Exactly.
The fact that you wasn't there, we could put that on you.
Yeah, facts. So
you wasn't at practice yesterday, Ox. That's why we couldn't run 10s. That's your fault.
Oh, that kills me.
That's your fault. We needed you yesterday. You wasn't here.
Mars, talk to us though.
Details. Being detail oriented to me is a big part of being a coach. I don't think you can look at anything surface level. I think even if things are basic, I still think you have to dig deeper. You have to look at why things happen, why everything happens. I think not you have to control everything, because in sports, nothing is fully within your control. There's just things happen, but you got to look at everything that is within your control. And I think you got to make sure that you're the one that knows why things are happening. Things are happening for the reasons you want them to happen. And that goes to having a plan and being able to explain to your players why you have the plan you do. I think saying, I want you to do this because that's what I want, I don't think that works. I think players nowadays, whether that's low-level sports or the professional level, players want to know why they're being told to do what they're being asked to do. So I think if you can explain why you want what you want, even if the players don't agree, but you being able to explain why you want what you want, just garners respect. Some people might not agree with it, and they might, if it's not working, they might be quick to tell you why they don't think it's working. But I think they'll be willing to try things, even if they don't agree with it, as long as you explain why you want what you want. I think being approachable is a big thing. I understand coach's point about he listens more to his best players about what they see, and that makes sense because they're out there more, so they can see more. But I'm a big believer in I'm gonna listen to everyone's opinion, because no matter how good or bad they may be at the sport, the things they say might make sense. So because there's been countless times where I've been talking with teammates or whatever, and they might not like the way coaches are doing things, but they won't speak to the coach themselves because they'll be like, the coach won't listen. So then, like, I have to take it upon myself, or someone else has to take it upon themselves to go speak to the coach about the things all the players are saying, because they don't feel comfortable to be able to go and approach their coach about it themselves. And I feel like I don't think that's the right way to approach things. I think the coach should be willing to listen to all perspectives, not agree or change their philosophy because of every perspective. But some people might view things a certain way, and when you listen to them and listen to their explanation, it's like, I never thought of it that way. That makes sense. I might not change how I'm doing this, but I can accommodate that line of thinking into my thought process and my plan. Because I think players generally are smarter than I think they get credit for, just because of the way they can see things from that in first person perspective.
Mars, don't you think? Do you think that's like a generational type thing, like what you're talking about? I think just you coming from like a youth, like just being younger. Yeah, you know, possibly. And that's kind of the same thing in the house now too. Like when I was growing up, we didn't have no opinions. You know what I'm saying?
Shut
like,
up and do what I say.
Yeah, like,
shut up and do what I say.
Like, what you want to do? What? Like nobody had to. Nowadays, we got like as a dad, I gotta listen to my kids. You know what I'm saying? I gotta, well, you know what? I ain't even think about that. You know. But my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely probably does stem from me being younger and just. I mean, I've played for certain coaches who are more authoritarian. They don't listen to people. And even if like they're successful, it's just like the vibe is just not good. Even when you're winning, like winning doesn't solve everything. I know people say that all the time, winning solves all. It doesn't. I'm gonna be honest. Like people enjoy winning, but if people aren't enjoying going in every day or doing certain things because they feel like it's just a dictatorship, they're not going to enjoy it. But then I've also played for coaches who are probably too player friendly, and I'm not gonna lie, some players enjoyed it, but then you end up losing every week, and it's like, I'm not enjoying this either. So I think there has to be a balance. And it's also you have to know your personnel. Some guys you can coach harder than others because they're receptive to that type of tough love or that type of treatment. But then some guys, it's like they need more appreciation. They don't respond to that negative reinforcement. And that doesn't mean I think they're better or worse players. I think it's just everyone's wired differently. So I think it's just being emotionally aware of who responds to what and not treating everyone the same. I think equality is something that, like, equality is cool, but I think equity makes more sense.
Now, some people what you just said
respond to different treatments. So
some people what you just said will categorize that as being soft, and it's not. Some of these players need to hear that they're good. They need to constantly hear that encouragement. And some of these players, they need to hear consistently you being on them, like Coach said, riding them a lot and getting on their case. Some players need to hear that. Reggie Miller had a pregame ritual where the dude that he was working out with would cuss him out. That's what got him going. He said he needed that in order to get going.
And you can see that with Reggie on the court.
What type of weird ass kink is that?
I know that's crazy, right, Ox? That's nuts. But he said he needed that. He said he had a guy who would cuss him out before right when they were working out. He would get in his face and go, "You sorry mother, you know what? You can't cover nobody out here. You shouldn't even be out here." He said he needed that, and the reason why he needed that is because that got him going. Y'all all think that about me? Okay, let's get to the bottom of that.
Guess you amped to prove people wrong. Like everyone's wired differently. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to be receptive to coaching or to coach. I think it's just dependent on your personnel. Like Dennis Rodman needed more Phil Jackson than he needed Greg Popovich. It was pretty clear. San Antonio was not great. Chicago was great because Phil Jackson understood this is how Dennis Rodman needs to be treated. He doesn't need to be treated like Mike. He doesn't need to be treated like Scottie Pippen. We got to treat everyone differently because every human is different. Even just on the panel, I mean, I don't know, like whenever we have meetings with HR, maybe they speak to me differently than they speak to Ox. I don't know, but I know me and Ox are different people. So maybe they're like, Mars, you're the best ever. And they're like, Ox, you're a bum. Now, maybe they're just saying that because both of those things
Mars,
are true.
it kind of does work like that. We got to cuss Ox out.
Yeah, so like maybe like everyone
you stroke your ego.
But
I mean, maybe you're just honest to me now. Maybe you're just honest.
The difference, Mars, is I don't like being cussed out. They just do it anyway.
That's not helping you, Ox. That's not helping Ox.
I can't speak to that. But yeah, I think just being aware of your players and how they respond to certain things, and not trying to change who they are fundamentally as people. Like I feel like changing someone's mental, like you can help someone view things differently. But if someone doesn't respond to negative reinforcement, you consistently doing it isn't going to change that. Like, it's not going to change that. Some people are just built differently. So I think just you have to be aware of that. So those things will go into it for me, just speaking generally about coaches.
As I've gotten older, I've recognized that as a coach, and I don't know if you can attest to this, Coach, but I've recognized that your job, a coach's job, whatever you know how to do that. Whatever you don't know how to do, we're not going to do that. I'm going to enhance what your ability is. Right, because what I'm doing, and when I put you in positions to consistently fail, I'm not helping the unit, and I'm not helping you. Now, I can help you where, okay, there's something that you don't do well. Okay, we can work on that. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to consistently put you in a position to fail. I'm not going to do that. What you do know how to do, we're going to go to that. What you don't know how to do, now we're going to get somebody else who does know how to do that. But we're going to keep you in the lineup.
Adaptability too. I think adaptability is important.
That's one of my big things.
Yeah,
on the fly adaptability.
Yeah, that. But like, that's we're gonna get to Steve Kerr because I think that's probably one of my bigger issues with him. Like, you can't be stuck in your ways. Things change, sports evolve, everything evolves. You can't rely on what used to work 6 years ago, 20 years ago, and expect that to carry you over the line now. Everything changes, and more than adaptability, being proactive and being the reason why things are able to change, like seeing ahead, I think that's extremely valuable too. So both those things, being able to adapt to things when they change, or being the reason why things change, both of them are extremely valuable.
People peak. That was a coach. People peak, like their energy levels, their enthusiasm for their job, it peaks. Sometimes you hire a guy like Lenny Wilkins, and you're expecting a Hall of Fame coach, and you don't get the Hall of Fame version of that coach because he's kind of past that stage in his life where he had the energy to do that every single day. And I think the adaptability part is really important. You might have a philosophy about how you want to play. You get a personnel switch at the midseason, and you gotta change up, right? And that connection with your team, and to the point about what Mars said about treating your listening to your end of your bench guys and listening to everybody. First of all, I think it's hard to listen to 15 people, right? But there has to be a base level of respect, because one of the things that I've noticed with really great coaches is they may cater their offense and their defensive schemes and some of their rotations to their best players, but it's not like they don't treat their worst player with respect. That element of just base level of you're a professional, I'm a professional. If you just, kind of taking your day out on the end of the bench guy, at some point, everybody else is going to look at you a little bit and be like, oh, that's what you're going to do when I get injured or when I get older. You know what I mean? You don't need me. It's like, so I think that it's a good philosophy. I'm a film director. And one of the best pieces of advice I got in 2016 when I got into it was you got to be equal parts mother and father. And it took me a really long time to understand what that meant. But what it means is, traditionally, however you think mother and father are supposed to have different roles, is sometimes you need to get chewed out a little bit. You need to be told when your rotations are late. You need to have a film session devoted just to your defensive lagging. But then afterwards, you need a pat on the back and a meal. You need to have
if you earned a pat on the back and a meal.
No,
I can't constantly have you cussing me out, Ox, because I ain't gonna give you the effort.
But you can't.
You don't want to break a player's confidence.
You can't fuck up every day.
But this
is
why is that?
You can't give fake compliments because everyone's gonna know that.
No, we're not doing that, Mars.
It's not my fault, Chill. It's not my fault if you are constantly screwing up. If you are constantly like in the wrong place, if you're just not getting it. I understand not going too far, just not belittling and not just low rating and all that. I understand that. You know what I'm saying? I've had some real twisted coaches. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, though, I've had some soft ass coaches that everybody, oh, good job. Like, man, he ain't doing shit. What you clapping for him for? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can't get with the fake compliments, the fake, like, if I'm
get with that neither.
It's not fake.
If I'm grilling you, I'm gonna grill you, and then I'm not gonna come over there and be like, hey man, I'm sorry. Nah, man, take your ass home, get your shit together, come back tomorrow, and let's go. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But everybody don't react the same way to that.
I understand that. I understand that. I do understand that. But I'm still not gonna be out here coddling you. You know what I'm saying? Like
nobody said coddle. Mother does not mean coddle. It means like having a meal with somebody. Like, the year that Chet Holmgren was injured, right? That was a tough year for him. He had a Liz Frank injury. They met with him every single week. They discussed his rehab. They kept him engaged, and that's why he came out the next year and he was so good because they kept him engaged.
Yeah, but
that's Ox have a heart. No, Ron, that's not. Do Oxes not have hearts?
I know what I'm talking about.
He's saying Monty Williams couldn't be saying "Good job, Killian." That's what he's saying.
That's not. Yeah, but what Penn just brought up with old boy is not at all what I was just reacting to. What I was reacting to was grilling somebody after a practice or during a practice, and then going and that's
cool. Listen when you're in fight or flight, you just can't. So if you come at a coach, you gotta learn how to face adversity too. I need you to be tough. I need you to be tough to accept this.
You don't have to accept it. When we get into fight, when it's time for battle, I don't got time for you looking for me. Don't be looking at me to boost to help you get through this shit. We've been through this all season. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now it's time to rock. Don't come over here like, oh, coach, what am I gonna do? You're gonna get your ass out there and fight.
95% sure if an NBA coach adopts your mentality, they'd be fired within a few weeks.
Whatever.
I'm just saying. This shit might work in college. It might work in Division One.
I'm positive, Penn, that if an NBA coach came in with your mindset, they just get ran over all day and end up fired.
Absolutely not. You don't get run over because you're willing to listen to a player. You don't get run over. You get run over when you're inconsistent. You get run over when you're insecure. You get run over when you don't know your shit. You get run over when you're lazy and players figure that out. You get run over when you're talking bullshit and they know that you don't know what you're saying. I'll tell you right now, you get run over when you ignore a really good idea from one of your assistants and the players agree with your assistant. That's when you get run over. When you consistently make the wrong rotation and the players are looking at like, what's he doing? That's when you get run over. You do not get run over when you take, a kid who's injured and be like, we got your back, or a kid who made a big mistake and chew him out for the mistake, but then make sure to grab lunch with them afterwards and talk about how they can get better. I'm telling you that when a player or a human being in general is in a defensive mode, they're not hearing you. Nothing you're saying is going to get through to them at all. They're thinking about survival, and people in survival are not good listeners. And I've watched you crash out enough times, Ox, to know you're not a good listener when you're in survival mode either. Nobody is. I'm definitely not either.
Crash out, and you have never once seen me crash out.
Ox, when we're in film session,
you might have seen me talk a little shit on the internet.
I have seen you mentally check out of a discussion because it wasn't going your way many times.
Instead of fighting, you flighted.
I mentally check out. I mentally check out when it's like there's no point in having this conversation about stuff that people don't understand clearly.
Well, Ox, when you just talked about in the film session, I'm missing rotations. Okay, you're not going to say, hey, chill. Listen, you could probably do a better job. If you've seen it 2 or 3 or 4 times, chill, get your ass over there. Look, rewind the tape. This is what you're doing. Now, when we get on the floor, you explain it, right? You explain to me what's going on. And if I'm still not getting it, then we might have to move in another direction. If I'm still not getting it. But what you can't do as a coach is you can't continuously berate me. You can't continuously get on my case about that, because what's going to happen is like Penn just talked about, I'm going to be checked out. This dude ain't even, I think we assume a lot of times that these guys know what they're doing. There's a reason why you're the coach, because I don't know what I'm doing.
100%.
How did Phil Jackson 100%. Deal with? How did Phil Jackson deal with his most difficult personalities? Did he chew them out all day? Nope.
I'm not
because Phil Jackson learned something that a lot of people on this panel could learn from. Is the loudest person is not the one who wins the argument. The loudest, the one who wins the argument is the one who stays even.
Instead of getting the point across, it's not about how we look after this. It's about getting somewhere. It's not always about let's make sure everybody thinks it's some kumbaya.
You're not going to change a Dennis Rodman. You're not going to change a Ron Artest. You're not going to change this. What you can do is weaponize what they do well.
To Phil Jackson, okay? You're not on that level.
What exactly are you guys disagreeing about?
I'm saying
three players. I think
if somebody is tripping and you see like they're just not getting it, go sit your ass down, okay? Sit down. Sit there and learn. I don't got time. Well, you know what, man? If you did this instead of this, like, and nobody's
a straw man argument.
Nobody's
fighting a ghost of an argument that's never made.
So with what Ox just said, Penn, what do you disagree? So Ox said if someone's not,
I don't disagree with any of it. He's just making up.
Why are we arguing right now?
Because Ox decided to listen with one ear and talk with two mouths. That's why.
Because Penn wants everything to be some kumbaya shit like this.
I didn't say that to be kumbaya. That's not what I said. That's the problem when you don't listen, Ox.
I'm not going to sit here and keep letting Penn lull y'all to sleep with this shit. That's just not realistic. Okay?
So is that what this is about?
Yeah.
You mad at how we talk?
You're mad at the monotonous.
Ox, I can break Ox, but wait a minute though, Ox. I can break dishes. Ox, I can break dishes. You can break dishes and I can help you sweep up. I can be the cause of you breaking dishes, but I can also help you sweep up too. I won't be the problem. I won't be the cause of you continuously breaking more dishes. Wait a minute. You broke these dishes. I'm the reason why you broke these dishes. Let me help you clean this up. So next time you won't break dishes. That's the point. And what Penn is talking about is I can get in your ass about something, but then I can explain to you why I got in your ass about it. Now, I understand your point, Ox, where everything ain't kumbaya. No, because 100%, and I always bring this up, this reference to Kobe Bryant, because I think this is the realest shit I ever heard him say. He said that you can't think that this is kumbaya. You have to be able to have tough conversations, because what's going to happen is you're going to run into a crew that has a leader that's not afraid to have that, and you're going to lose. So you got to be able to get in somebody else. 100%.
Final question for you, Showtime. Is having difficult conversations a skill?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
And a good coach will teach. Communication is absolutely a skill.
Exactly. And a good coach, like a good parent, is going to teach you the skill to have the conversations, which means if I have a knucklehead 18, 19-year-old who's a 5-star recruit, whose entire family, his entire training staff is gassing him up and telling him he shouldn't listen to me because he should be starting on my team when I objectively know that there are 13 players on my team better than him, I'm going to have a very difficult time communicating with that kid until I teach him how to hear me. And in order to teach him how to hear me, he has to trust me. I need to keep the first thing first.
How long nigga don't want to listen to you? He don't want to hear you.
That's okay. Then he doesn't have to be on my team, and we can trade him. That's cool. That's another thing. That's very underrated. College coaches do not recruit players that they don't want to coach. When they get a sense that your father or your mother is a coach killer, when they get a feeling that the people around you are leaky in terms of, everything I say to you, everything you don't like about me is going to get to the media. Maybe we don't bring you into Rutgers. Maybe we got to bring you into Santa Clara. When I get a feeling that you're a type of guy who's going to dribble the air out of the basketball, and I'm trying to implement a motion offense, maybe we don't need you. Maybe when I get the idea that you're a small forward, and I know you're a small forward, but you have a fancy idea in your head that you're a point guard because some coach in grade 6 let you play point, we don't need you. That's my point.
Well, coach, you're a college coach. Does that factor in when you deal with it?
Yeah, but definitely. I mean, but the way it is now with the transfer portal, like everything's 1 year and done. They're going to tell real quick. Everybody can put on a show to get there. But once you get there, I really see what's going on. And then we just transfer portal you out of here. You're out of here. And we get somebody else. You just
like that.
The team every year.
Just like that.
Building the team every year. It's a 1 year renewable now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
These kids don't give a damn about nothing, man. Just coach. That's it. Just coach. Just coach the game, and let's get to it. I know I
kids want to help you get them better. Like especially kids want to get paid. So make them better so they can get paid somewhere.
Exactly.
That is the plan, though, Coach. I mean,
that's it.
That 100%. That is the plan, Coach. Because I didn't come here just to help you win games. I got dreams too. Right. So in the process of that, and for me to get to where I'm trying to go, I need you.
But see, Chill, that's to me, that's so backwards. I hate people to think like that. What can I get from you? What are you doing for me? No, this is a fair exchange. Coach, I come in, I work my ass off, I listen to your philosophy, I buy in, I show up to weights early, I get my grades, I kick it with the boosters, I do everything that I need to do to make this program better so I can help you win games. So when we win games, people will see that what the work that you put into me that allowed me to get better. Now we're on the big stage. We won the Big Ten Conference. We went to the Elite Eight, the Sweet 16. We did that 1 year. I come back. I do the same thing. I buy into everything that you're doing. I come to practice early. I work my ass off. I listen to your philosophies. I let you coach me hard. I get better again in year 2. We go back to the Elite Eight. Now, because I bought into you and helped you win games, now all of these scouts are seeing the work that I'm putting in and how good that I am. And as a result of us winning, I'm getting seen by the national audience because we're winning. If I come in and I'm just trying to, coach, I need you to make me better. I don't care about none of that extra stuff. It's all about me. Now we're not going to win any game because, well, y'all know how that goes. One bad apple spoils the whole crop.
No, but that's not what he said. That's not what I said at all, Ron.
No, I understand what you were saying. What I'm saying is you can't come in just, coach, make me better. Coach, make me better.
Based on what he said, you don't understand what he said. That's not what he said.
Chill, repeat what you said.
I said that I'm not just here to help you win games. That's not what.
And that's what I'm saying, Pin. You need to be there to help win games.
Look, if I'm a coach and you're my 5-star, exactly. If I'm a coach and you're a 5-star recruit, I'm assuming at some point you want to get drafted. So in order to get your complete attention, I need to prove to you and explain to you and demonstrate to you every day in practice that your goal is part of my goal too. That I will.
Yes, it's a two-way street. That's what I'm saying, Pin. A coach is.
He didn't say. I expect. That's what I'm saying. He didn't say it's all about the player. He didn't say the coach has to bend backwards and be like, okay.
Pin, I was reacting to what he said. Pin, he said, I'm not here to just help you win games. I have dreams too. Of course, but chill. Of course, you have dreams.
Hold on. It might be helpful to put a guy who is clearly undersized for the NBA. And he's maybe traditionally maybe he's a center, right? But you got to play him at small forward so this kid can get drafted because he's 6'4". It might help you win more games to put him at center, but it's not going to help him get drafted to put him at center. So you got to put that 6'4" guy at small forward and work with it. There's got to be an exchange because he's going to know what him playing center is going to mean.
See, that's the thing, though. That's the thing, though. If I'm coaching at St. John's and you want me to put you a small forward to appease you to go number 10 instead of you going 20, then go to Kentucky.
That's part of the recruiting.
We have a program though. I'm not because here's the thing. I'm not finna compromise my point guard, and I'm not finna compromise who also has been a small forward here for 3 years. And if I'm in senior year, for you because you're a 5-star recruit.
And this because you're a 5-star recruit. And this logic go to Kentucky. Talking about right. And this logic right here is what you're talking about is exactly what I mean when I tell these kids. Go play basketball the way you think basketball should be played, not the way they think you should be playing. No, because remember, last time I checked, Coach, you picked up the telephone and you called me. I don't know anything about you. Somebody told you about me. You came to see me, and you thought that what I was doing would be good for your program, right? Which means that what I'm doing is going to help you win games. And what you're doing is going to help me get to the next level. That's the even exchange. I'm not just here to help you win games if you think that I should be playing a small forward spot. I'm not here to help you win games if you think that I'm just here to play the point guard when I'm not that good at that, but you're going to turn me into that, and that's going to help you win games, and that's going to make my game look bad, and I'm not going to be able to get to where I'm trying to go. No. I got to go play somewhere where I think basketball should be played, and I'm going to play for a coach who's going to help me get to where I'm trying to go, and I'm going to help him in exchange, as opposed to me just being here to help you win games, and you're going to do whatever you want to do with me. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you can't be selfish as a coach in general. You can't be stifling.
Yeah, but you also can't bend over for all 15 players. No. So if that's the case,
there's a reason why the 13th player on the crew is the 13th player.
Doesn't mean bending over. Listening doesn't mean bending over. Helping a player get drafted does not putting him in a position to succeed does not mean bending over. Like, what is this, man?
Pin, I understand what you're saying.
Your program will die.
I understand what you're saying, and once again, it's a communication thing. So you have to work through a lot of things. It's much deeper than what this conversation is. Because yes, let's say you have a 5-star and a 4-star coming in. You definitely want to put them in the positions to be as successful as they possibly can be. You want them to get drafted because the more players you get drafted, the more of those recruits are going to come to you, the more higher that people from the outside are going to think of you, all of that,
Absolutely.
But at the same time, you still also want to win as many games. And Mars, who was the kid that went to Kentucky last year? Number one overall, or one of the best recruits coming?
DJ Wagner.
No, not DJ Wagner, the other kid who's plays for Philadelphia now. Lefty.
Oh, Justin Edwards.
Justin Edwards. I mean, you could say DJ Wagner too, but Justin Edwards. Clearly, these two guys had two guys better than them behind them.
But Coach Cal understand. Hold on. The difference. Let's make sure we clear on that, Coach. There is no misunderstanding when I come here. Coach Cal understands exactly why I'm here. I'm here because I'm trying to get to the next level. There is no we're just trying to win a national championship. No, Cal knows exactly what I'm doing here.
Once again, though, Chill, like we had this conversation back. I had this matter of fact, Chill, me, you, and Damo got into a real heated argument about this.
I do remember that.
We got to also understand that these college coaches are like, forget about Coach Cal for a second. We got 15 players, and only one of you motherfuckers might get to the league. I can't disrespect these other 13 kids.
And that's the point that I'm making.
Or you, and you might get to the NBA. If you can adjust your game a little bit, maybe you're not as good as you think you are. If you can adjust your game a little bit and still produce, you're getting in their way. You're not more important than them just because you think you're going to the NBA one and done.
Okay.
So you fight that?
Hold on.
This one recruit is better than all Florida University. We're supposed to switch everything because we got this one one kid named Mark Johnson.
Bad coach.
Mark Johnson. He's the number 5 center in the nation.
Your reflection? Have you ever battled your reflection? That's what you're doing right now.
I do it every day.
You're literally like you're just inventing things to scream at this point.
Nobody's
I'm not really disagreeing or agreeing. I'm kind of like, okay, we're here to rank the best coaches. We haven't talked about a single one. Let's get on to it.
Let's do it.
We're not even disagreeing. Most of the shit you're saying, I agree with. You seem to be very upset.
The last half an hour, everyone's been agreeing but arguing. I don't know.
Exactly.
Them is the best conversations, Morris.
No, they're not. Not to listen to. I promise.
No, they're not.
All right, y'all. Here's the coaches' rankings from last season.
Oh boy.
This is what they're looking like. I'm not going to reel off all 30 coaches, but you can see, I do want to say the coaches in the blue are what we came up with as our top 3 coach of the year rankings. So we had Mark Daigneault winning coach of the year. In second place, we had Joe Mazzulla. And in third place, we had JB Bickerstaff.
Who did win coach of the year?
OKC.
Was it Mazzulla?
OKC coach won.
It was Mark Daigneault?
Oh, so he was right.
Oh, yeah.
That means the whole list was a success. There you go. All right, cool. Good work, team.
Okay, but can we please ignore the fact that number 6 and number 7 have been fired?
I know I was against Monty Williams' placement at the time. I know that.
Shoot, one of y'all had in the top 3, he got fired.
I mean, W for having Adrian Griffin at 29, he got fired. I'm pretty sure Wes Unseld got fired as well.
I'm a Wizards fan.
Steve Clifford got fired.
I'm pretty sure we put those guys at the bottom because they hadn't coached before. Like
Jacques Vaughn got fired too.
Damn. Okay.
Steve Clifford still is shot.
No, look how low Chris Finch is.
Charles Lee now.
Hey,
don't worry about Chris Finch. Hey man.
Okay. Is there anything you guys would change on this list right now, apart from the guys who got fired? Like anything that sticks out? Like holy shit, I can't believe.
I'd move Chris Finch a lot higher.
Yeah, Finch, he's great.
Yeah.
Check out Darvin.
That was on me when that happened. I mean, I can take accountability. Whoops.
Hold on. What'd you say about Finch at that moment in time?
Lord, I can't remember. I don't think I said anything about him. It was just like, we could put Chris Finch here. And everyone was like, yeah, we could. And then he was there. But like, so I didn't say anything about why I think he should have been or shouldn't have been. This is me making up why I think I possibly may have said it at the time. This is because this was the year I hated the Rudy Gobert and Cat fit. I hated how he was using
fought me tooth and nail on it, Mars. You fought me tooth and nail.
I'm not gonna lie, it looked bad. I'm gonna be honest, it looked bad. But this year, I mean, this past year, he figured it out. It worked, and I wasn't a huge fan of the offensive continuity. There was a lot of things I didn't like about Minnesota last year, but this year I think they solved a few issues. Well, this past year I think they solved a few issues, so I grew higher on Chris Finch. Someone brought up that I had him this low, and I apologized. Like the moment I seen it was me, I was like, yeah, I got that one wrong. So I ain't gonna hold on to him and be like, oh yeah, I believe. I mean, I was just wrong. It is what it is. He's clearly better than that.
W accountability.
That's the second time I've done that in the last 24 hours. It's just getting me tired right now. I ain't gonna lie. I'm kind of being wrong too much.
Mars, it's nothing wrong with being wrong.
Mars growing as a person.
It's like you supposed to be wrong. Like we all came into this world wrong at some point with something. Because you had to learn something. So like it's like my thing be like, stay wrong until you get right. If it's five options, keep getting wrong until you find the first option or the right option.
What
it might be chill. I just told you if it's five options and only one of them is right, keep getting wrong until you get the right one. Hey, it might be the third option. You might get right on the third time. You might get lucky and get right on the first time.
To the list wrong.
It might take to the fifth time. Hey, keep getting wrong until you get right. It's nothing. Hey, I'm talking to you, chat. It's nothing wrong with being wrong at all.
It's and everything.
All right, let's get to the list.
Ron got an air fryer because he's cooking air right now.
I'm just trying to let y'all know it's nothing wrong with being wrong.
Ron, get to the list.
No, there's nothing wrong with being wrong.
Hey, chat, listen to me. Check it out. Check it out.
Here we go.
If the last thing you did was wrong, don't get down on yourself.
Here we go.
Pick yourself up and keep going till you get right. All right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
This has been a motivational speech brought to you by Ron. What are we doing?
All right, y'all. Here we go. For number 30, this is the coach that we voted as the worst coach in the NBA. It's Jordi Fernandez.
What?
I want. Hey, wait. I want to put this out there for full transparency. All three of the new NBA head coaches, I just put in the bottom three.
Me as well.
So Jordi Fernandez was great with the Kings. Absolutely cool.
Show Jordi some love, Mars.
So, the reason so if they're all the bottom three, I'm gonna put it out there. I had all three of them: Charles Lee, JJ Redick, and Jordi Fernandez. I had them in the bottom three because they haven't been NBA head coaches. That's solely the reason. I'm not gonna tell you that I think they're the worst coach in the NBA. I'm just saying, technically, I would have just ranked 27 coaches, technically. But that's why.
Man, why is your face like that? We don't know what Jordi Fernandez looks like as a head coach. We have no idea.
Jordi Fernandez has coached the Canadian national team. Jordi Fernandez has been the lead assistant for a very successful team in Sacramento, which completely changed their fortunes around and made the playoffs for the first time in 16 years. And by the way, if you saw his team's reaction when he stepped in as in for Mike Brown and won that game, and they were like the happiest they've ever been. He's a huge part of the culture in Sacramento.
100%.
How is he worse than JJ Redick?
Now answer this question.
Like I said, I put them in a random order. I put them in a random order. It wasn't like is what it is. I just
also another one. So with that being said, too, Mark, I did give of the new coaches, since JJ is the hooper of the new coaches, he got the bump. Anytime I have an issue like two players or two coaches, like for instance, J Kidd, if it's J Kidd and another coach, I'm not sure. J Kidd gets the nod. Chauncey Billups and a new coach, Chauncey gets the nod.
Okay.
I
genuinely put them in a random order. It could have been JJ lost. I literally just put them in a random order. So Jordi Fernandez ended up being 30th. But like, it's not because I think he's the worst coach.
2009, Jordi Fernandez was the Cavaliers player development coach. Then he was a assistant coach for the Canton Charge, a head coach for the Canton Charge. Then he was an assistant in Denver through most of Jokic's ascent. Yep. Then he was a Sacramento Kings coach. Yep. He's a Canadian national team coach. Yep. And now he's a head coach in Brooklyn.
Right.
I love Jordan.
What are you talking about?
I don't think he's the worst coach in the league.
And he's 41. Think about what think about what
and we have not seen him. We have not seen him at the helm.
I don't give a damn if he was assistant coach with Phil Jackson, with Jordan and Scottie Pippen. He was an assistant coach.
He
was an assistant coach. He was not a head coach.
That's where you're losing me, because did we not see Walton as the assistant in Golden State?
We're like 15.
Right? And when Walton gets the head job with the Lakers, is Walton now a top 15 coach?
No, nobody said top 15.
Don't forget Luke Walton ruined.
You don't have to put him top 15.
What do you
got to put him over JJ Redick.
What do you have?
I'm fine with that. I had JJ Redick at 29, and it's because I literally did the list generator.
So Miles, what you do? I put all these guys against the wall.
Anyone who watches Open Gym, this is how I sort the order for the drafts. I put Charles Lee's name, JJ Redick's name, and Jordy Fernandez's name. Give me an order. It said Charles Lee, JJ Redick, Jordy Fernandez. So that's the order I gave Ron. I didn't have an opinion on any of them as coaches. So I don't think Jordy Fernandez is worse than JJ
I had him
Redick.
at 23rd because there are certain people you cannot go with. I don't know this, so he's terrible. But there's plenty of coaches in the league we know aren't great coaches. How come he's worse than those guys? He obviously got a head coaching job at 41. And he's working for, by the way, a terrible organization with a terrible roster. So next year, when he goes out and loses, 60 games, what y'all going to say? You were right. His job is to lose right now. And frankly, a lot of veteran coaches are not signing up for this shit.
That's what we're judging.
I think you're doing what you're accused other people of doing. You're not listening. None of us up here has said we think he's bad. What we said is we haven't. What we said is we haven't seen him
coaches from.
So what we've done is grade him really as a not applicable right now. So he's ended up as a bottom,
not applicable
because he's never been a head coach in the NBA. Penn,
I told you why. You just really not. You just don't understand.
Okay, hold on.
Mars, you got to be smart. Mars, you got to be smarter to understand what Penn's telling you. Mars, you're not smart enough, bro. Just leave it alone.
No, but I'm not saying what anything he's saying about Jordy Fernandez and Ron. I'm saying none of us. Hold on.
Fine, he hasn't been a head coach in the NBA. Great. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But let's move past that.
Mars, I told you he was
dumb. Okay, let's say a guy has never coached in his life. Let's say a guy never coached in his whole life. Let's say a guy never coached in his whole life. Okay, never coached anywhere at all. Hadn't coached AAU, hadn't coached rec league, hadn't coached shit.
You mean like Steve Kerr, for example?
JJ Redick.
Sure. Okay. JJ Redick, I think he coached AAU at some point. I think, if I'm not mistaken. My point is, let's say a guy never coached and he coaches 1 year in the NBA as a head coach. Okay. The other guy has been an assistant head coach, a lead coach, assistant coach, a head coach in G League. For 3 years, 3 years of head coaching experience in G League. Head coach for a national team. One of the 5 biggest national teams, most impressive national teams in the world. Has been a head coach for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Has been a head coach for Jamal Murray. You're telling me the guy with 1 year of NBA head coaching experience is better than the guy who has 2 decades of diverse experience coaching? You're telling me 2 years of G League coaching means jack shit to you? You're telling me a national team coach means jack shit to you? Are you kidding me right now?
I didn't say it means jack shit, but one more time, Coach.
It's all about the NBA. This is NBA. I don't care what you do at any level. Billy Donovan came in with 2 national championships, and I rate him like at the bottom when he got there. Like, you haven't coached in the NBA.
But did he get paid?
I still rank Billy Donovan at the bottom. Billy Donovan
he's one of the few I think is a bad coach.
Billy Donovan is a bum.
Billy needs to go back to college. But yeah.
And his resume,
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how many times I just graded all 3 of them as ungradable. I would have given him 27 names.
Billy's resume is way more important. Is way more impressive than Jordy Fernandez's resume. And Billy's a bum. So
I'm gonna tell you something. Jordy Fernandez has been coaching since he's 15 years old. He's 41 right now. He has 26 years of coaching experience. And you are putting him below a guy who has 0 weeks of coaching experience. That's crazy to me.
Who you talking about?
JJ Redick.
JJ Redick.
So if we had him at 29, would we be having this debate right now?
I had him at 28.
I think 28 is where I can say you'll be fair because he has more experience than the 2 people.
So we mad that my fault. The random list generator gave me a bad.
No, wait a second, Mars. Hold on.
Come on, Mars. You cooked the list. I told you not to use that random generator. I told you.
If he just ended up at the top of the list of the new coaches, it would have been fine. My bad.
Damn.
I understand fully and 100%. I understand that everybody that plays the sport does not have the ability to coach that sport. Everybody that plays the sport does not have the ability necessarily to train that sport. I understand that 100% fully. I want to say that as a prerequisite to now say what I'm saying. I believe that JJ Redick playing as many years in the NBA as he played for some pretty decent coaches, and also being under the tutelage of one of the best, if not the best college basketball coach we've ever seen in Mike Krzyzewski. That means something for JJ Redick. JJ Redick is an intelligent young man. I think I've heard enough from JJ on, you know, when he's analyzing the game, when he's just talking sports, when he's grilling Stephen A. and Kendrick, when he's doing that. I think JJ Redick's playing career, playing for Mike Krzyzewski, and, you know, just what he's been doing, just talking the game recently, has shown that he has a good knowledge of basketball. And I'm willing to go ahead and put his resume playing, analyzing, and once again playing for Mike Krzyzewski and having Mike Krzyzewski in his Rolodex. I think that can stack up against Jordy's resume for sure.
Penn, what are you basing Brian Flores on? Is it more of an X and O thing, or is it just managing players? Because if I played 16 years in the NBA, if I played for Mike Krzyzewski, I'd like to think I know the game. I'd like to think that more than anything. I think that if I'm moving over, if I'm moving over because I've been around the game for as long as I've been around the game, if I'm moving over and I'm making a transition to the bench, I don't think the transition would be that difficult. I think more of these coaches that can coach, I think it's more of a personality thing because they expect you to be like them. There's plenty of coaches who coach in terms of players that they're good coaches because they recognize that, okay, not everybody is like me, number one. Number two, a lot of these coaches who've played aren't great players in the NBA. A lot of them weren't. They were good players in the NBA. Like Doc Rivers wasn't a great player in the NBA. He was a good player. Ty Lue wasn't a great player in the NBA. He was a solid pro. So guys like that is what I'm thinking about. So when I think about JJ Redick, why are you so up in arms about a guy who has the amount of experience that he has as a player and the amount of knowledge that he has in terms of X's and O's? Why is it ridiculous to think that he could be ahead of Jordy at this stage? I don't mean in a year or 2 years. I mean today.
I think that coaching is muscle memory. I think it's experience. It's understanding when your team is falling apart a little bit. It's knowing how to talk to your team after a loss and a win. And just because you've been on the other side of it as a player, it might help you initially break bread with that player and say, look, I've been there. I've been the end of the bench guy. I've been the 13th guy. I've been the 5th starter. I've been a movement shooter. I understand this. It's not about basketball acumen. There's plenty of guys who have basketball acumen that I would never trust to coach an NBA team. All of this said, Jordy Fernandez could literally be the 30th best coach in the league, for all I know. We don't necessarily know that. His track record would tell you he has much more in common with guys like Will Hardy and Mark Daigneault than someone. Dude, there is something to be said about people who are wonderkins or people who achieve success before their due time, okay? People who have diverse experiences. You take a look at a coach like Nick Nurse. Everyone talks about how innovative and creative he is, right? Well, that came from coaching in the G League. As a head coach in the G League, he did head coach over in the British Basketball League. He had so much international experience.
Did Nick Nurse come into the NBA and was he one of the 10 best coaches in the game?
He won a championship in his first year.
What I'm asking you is,
and guess what? Preseason, if the panel did rankings, I would have put him in the bottom 3 with all the new coaches.
That was my. So you're committing yourself to saying basically, I refuse to research this coach prior.
No. What I'm saying is when I rank NBA head coaches,
did any of you know that Jordy Fernandez has been coaching since he was 15? Do you know a person who's been coaching since they were 15? Because I don't. I know two coaches in the league. Hold on. I know 2 coaches in the league that have been coaching since they were in their teens, which is Darko Rajakovic, who's been coaching since he was 16, who did play basketball, but did not grow to the height that he would have needed to continue that basketball career. And Jordy Fernandez, same situation.
Right.
Both guys got into coaching at 15, 16, which means that when most people are playing 2K, these guys were on the sidelines.
How about this, then, Penn? Okay, great.
I'm not gonna lie. You guys seen the TikToks of that 4-year-old who be coaching on the sidelines? You guys
I did see that. Yeah,
he got an NBA job. I'm putting him at 30. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I've said 17 times, if you haven't coached in the NBA before, I'm going to put you at the bottom with all the other non-NBA head coaches That doesn't mean I think you are worse than the guys who are already.
Why
in the
is coaching in the NBA the only barometer for being a coach? We're ranking
because it's the NBA. We're ranking the best coaches in the NBA.
So coaching 3 games in Atlanta is better than 5 years at Olympiacos for you. That's your logic.
What happened to David Blatt?
David Blatt did not get a buy-in from his coach. David Blatt was coaching the best team in the NBA. David Blatt went to the finals. What are you talking about? What happened to David Blatt?
And they were at the top of the NBA when
LeBron
David
killed
Blatt
that dude's career. He's continued to be a great
coach.
Well,
that's the point I'm trying to make, though. The point I'm trying to make is just because you're successful elsewhere doesn't mean you're gonna be successful here.
Just because you're successful. He initially was brought on to coach a rebuilding team, and he would have done a fantastic job. Then LeBron came in, and he decided he don't want to listen to this guy because he's not willing to listen to him. Because David Blatt thought he was LeBron.
How do you know he would have done a fantastic job?
Because I have seen him do a fantastic job throughout his entire career, a career that you are not willing to follow.
In the NBA? In the NBA?
It doesn't matter if it's in the NBA. Ox, you talk about
the title says ranking NBA coaches.
So next time you talk about Leticia Collier, I don't want to hear that shit because it's not in the NBA.
Exactly.
You talk about Asia Wilson, I don't want to hear that shit because it's not in the NBA.
If we talked about, that's not the same thing. If we talk about Becky Hammond right now, would you
want him to go? You don't want him to be ranked 30.
Hold on, because you're doing something.
It's disrespectful because you're basically telling me that a guy who's been coaching for the last 26 years is a worse coach than a guy who's never coached.
If you rank Becky Hammond right now, he doesn't listen. He's too smart to listen. If we rank Becky Hammond right now, you wouldn't put her top 20.
No, and I didn't ask you to put him a top 20.
All right, we got to get back to the list. We got to get back to the list.
We can get to 29.
What's the difference between 28 and 30 that got your panties in a bunch, Pin?
JJ.
All right. Well, check it out.
You're not telling me he's the worst coach.
Check it out. Speaking of JJ,
no one told you that. Whatever.
Yes, it is, Mars. You told me that.
That's not.
How many times have I had to say I don't think he's the worst coach in the league? I think he and the other 2 non-NBA head coaches are in a group together, and I randomly put them in order. I don't think he's the worst. I'm saying he would be NA, but I had to give Ron all 30. I've said that 19 times, and all you keep saying is you think he's the worst coach in the league. I keep telling you I don't think that, but you want to take.
It's not about you. It's about this list.
You're the one not listening. I said I don't think he's the worst.
That's not Mars. That's what you did. That's not what they did. This list.
Also, too, I do want to say
that's what you said 30 seconds ago. Mars, you said it. 30th. I didn't say
Penn. The reason why I put
said y'all.
The reason why I put Torres Penn.
29.
Penn. The reason why I put him at the bottom of the list is because he's never coached in the NBA. That's it.
29.
That's the only reason why I have him at the bottom.
Listening is hard, I guess.
Also, too, he is stepping into a dumpster fire too. I don't know if you guys accounted for that. I accounted for that as well.
I can see it. Even if a coach is in a bad,
that's not going to help his case at all.
But even if a coach is in a bad situation, you can tell if he can coach. Yeah. Even if he's in a bad situation.
Yeah, but
I got Jordy ahead of JJ. I got Jordy at 26 just for the record.
So how do you? Okay, I had him at 20. I had him at 23. How the hell did he end up at 30 on this list, Ron?
Someone must have had JJ Redick or Charles Lee.
I got him at 28.
It's an average.
Me and True, the only ones
who the hell had him at 30 that he ended up at 30? This doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I think Ron just decided to put him at 30 to piss me off.
30.
Okay, so 3 of us had him at 30. Someone had him at 23. Someone had him at 26. Someone had him at 28. Like,
who's 29? Right?
All right, moving along. Next is Lee, right? Yep, it's Charles Lee.
My man.
I had him at 28.
No issues.
I had him at 29.
Oh, so him below JJ Redick is fine.
Let's run his resume down now.
No, 28 JJ Redick.
Yeah, JJ Redick.
Who would have thought the 3 new NBA head coaches ended up in the bottom 3? Just argue for 20 minutes.
All right. I guess we can continue to move along copacetically. Next, we have Coach Brian Keefe.
I'm a Wizards fan. He came in late in the season. He did some things. He benched Jordan Poole for a little while. Yeah, active coaches, I had him 27. Just because the Wizards are terrible, though. I mean, but he definitely showed benching Jordan Poole and just playing younger guys. He definitely showed like he don't mind switching it up.
He was an upgrade. He was definitely an upgrade from Unseld too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
I like what he. I listened to a couple of his interviews.
Yeah, he know what he's doing.
I like Brian Keeper. I like the way.
I had him at 26 solely because he, similar to the new coaches, he hasn't been around very long. But I was extremely confident he was better than one guy, so I was fine putting him at 26 instead of 26.
He's better than.
You're a smart guy. Let me just cap something off for you. Would you feel upset right now if someone said Reed Shepherd was the worst player in the NBA because he's never played in the NBA?
Well, there's other rookies who haven't played in the NBA, so
okay. Would you feel okay me saying he's the 420th best player in the NBA?
No.
If everyone below him was also the new rookies, I mean, no, because Bronny would have 55 players got drafted. If you put him,
not all of them have NBA contracts.
Put him below Zachary Risache, Alex Sarr, and then he was above all the other rookies. And your point was he hasn't played in the league yet, so I'm not going to rank him, which is what I've said. NA. Fine, because that's what they did about Wemby last year. And I was like, okay, if you're going to wait to see him and you're just going to say you're not going to grade him yet, that's fine.
Okay,
saying he's worse than someone and saying you aren't going to rank him yet are two different things. I don't know how many times I've had to say me putting him at 30 was literally saying I'm not ranking those three, but somehow you keep viewing it as me thinking he's worse. I'm saying they are in a group of their own of not ranked, but I have to give Ron 30 names.
Then we should do that. We should do that as the official group thing where we just put all three at the bottom, and that's what you did. All right, cool.
Well, I'm not doing that, but
yeah, I'm just telling you how I do.
I get where you coming from, no Mars. I do.
So no, he wasn't with
Brian Keeper at 26.
He wasn't.
Where was he?
He finished 27.
He was in Brooklyn last season. I mean, but before he got with the Wizards, he was in Brooklyn.
Okay, because I was listening to him talk about how he was no, the Lakers. He was with the Lakers before that, right?
The Lakers. No, he was in Oklahoma. He was in Oklahoma City before the Lakers. Then he got with the Lakers, and before them, he was with the Knicks, and then he was with Oklahoma City. He's been in the league since 2009.
Yeah. So that's what he's been around for a while.
Yeah, he's been in the league since 2009.
He's been around for a while, yeah.
All right, y'all. The next name that we have on the list, and this is coming in at 26, is Chauncey Billups.
That's who I think is the worst coach in the league. So he was the only one, because Brian Keefe hasn't been around long. He was the only one I was like, even with 6 months, he's better than him. Chauncey Billups, in my opinion, is the worst coach in the league. Like, bar none.
And why, Mars?
Yeah.
Defensively, it's a dumpster fire in terms of the things he starts.
No idea what he's doing.
The way he uses Matisse Thybulle is hilarious. I'm gonna be honest. I'm just put that. The way he uses Matisse Thybulle is actually hilarious. But just defensively, the things he implements in terms of his pick and roll coverages, the amount of zone he uses when it doesn't work is a disgrace. Offensively, it is egregious out there. Offensively, there's no continuity. Some archaic sets are still being run like it's 2008. I don't like anything that Chauncey Billups is doing in Portland. He said Denny Avdija is probably their best player.
So, yeah, he did say that. And with the athletes that they had, they don't play nearly as fast as they should.
It's not.
With Simon
not his best player.
I think Denny was the Wizards' best player last year. So
he was.
He know ball. But like everything else, like, yeah, he just doesn't. I don't see it. I feel like he's the only reason people would, I think, hesitate to say he's not the worst coach in the league is A, his legacy as a player, which I'm not taking away from him. Great player.
Going into the Hall of Fame.
Because Portland's are a bad team, people don't want to say the coach is a bad coach all the time because it's like Portland aren't meant to be good. I'm not expecting Portland to be good, but the way they play basketball is not good. The way they play defense is not good.
And that's because of their coach.
The system they run is not good. Like, there's nothing there that I don't even think it's going to be a great place for individual development. I'm hoping it is because I want Scoot and Donovan Clingan and Shaden Sharp to really be good. But the way they play doesn't seem like that's a way to develop players. Personally,
the thing I'm thinking about, Ron, is that you have one of the better rebounders in the game on your team in DeAndre Ayton, who I know, Mars, I know how you feel about him, but he is one of the better rebounders in the game. You should be playing faster than what you play, and you don't. You got athletes like Anthony Simon on your team. You got Shaden Sharp, who he got hurt not too long ago, but hopefully he'll be healthy. But when you have guys like that on your team, you got a rebounder. Just off the strength of that, we're having guys like Scoot, we're having Anthony Simons, we're having Thybulle. Those guys, you should be playing faster than what you're playing, and you're not.
There's this notion that point guards make good coaches, right? We've seen this with Penny Hardaway in Memphis. We see this with Chauncey Billups. We've seen this with a lot of guys. Lenny Wilkins. There's a lot of great point guards who have made good coaches. I would like to give Chauncey Billups some more time, but I fully see like no evidence that he's a competent NBA coach right now.
Yeah, right now it's shaky. It's real shaky. I think the development is fine. It's definitely shaky.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Chauncey. And one thing for me that went to rank of Chauncey was, I mean, your team just sucks, bro.
I don't think that they see. That's the thing, Ron. I don't think that in terms of from a talent standpoint, they aren't that bad. They got some really good talent over there. They should be better than what they are.
So, as in what? Like I'm saying, let's say we put Mike Malone over there. How much better do they get?
All right. Well, if you got Mike Malone over there, well, number one, they're going to play faster.
Yeah,
that's number one. Number two,
which would help them. It would help them.
That's number one. Number two, if you got Mike Malone over there, I think they'll be better on the defensive end. They'll run more action with DeAndre Ayton, not necessarily with him on the perimeter, but I think they'll run more action with getting him easier buckets than they do now, as opposed to this walk the ball up the not necessarily walk the ball up the floor, this slow pace, and I'm running pick and roll at the nail. I'm running pick and roll at the break with DeAndre Ayton. That's not his strength. That is not his strength at all. No. DeAndre Ayton can pick and pop, but he's actually really good around the rim. I would put him in better position to score around the rim. I think Mike Malone would do that. And on top of that, I would utilize his defenders like Thibault. I would utilize guys like that more. I think Mike Malone would do that. So I think they would be better in terms of their talent. You got a damn good one-on-one player in Anthony Simons. I think Mike Malone would have him in a lot more pick and pop and pick and roll action and getting him putting the ball in his hands a lot more. So with Chauncey Billups, I think a lot of the stuff that he's doing, I think it's on the fly because I'm not sure he's adjusted to the game today. I think he sees the game more like it was when he was playing, and that's just not conducive to what the game is today.
If DeAndre Ayton was my starting center, I'd quit.
And that's also another thing too, Chill. Like DeAndre Ayton getting more post-ups doesn't do you.
He was a double guy last year.
That's not saying.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I had to listen to that when James Wiseman was averaging 12.
No. Those two things are not the same. James Wiseman and DeAndre Ayton are not the same. No, I'm not saying
DeAndre Ayton above average center in the NBA.
He's
above average means top 15, right?
How many more games does that win the Portland Trailblazers?
It doesn't have them at the bottom of the Western Conference, Ron.
If I see one more Jeremy Grant isolation, I think I might come.
Okay, so Morris, I get that though, Morris. So let's say you take away five of his shots and give DeAndre Ayton 5 more post-ups per game.
No, not
how many more games does that win?
Whoa. Stop right there, Ron. Not post-ups.
Isolations, wherever you want to give him the ball.
Wherever buckets. How about that? How about getting scooped downhill quicker, right? How about getting scooped downhill better? How about getting Anthony Simons, who's great at finishing at the rim? I remember a couple of years ago when they came down here, I watched them play when he was with the Trailblazers. He's great at finishing around the rim. He will dunk on you. He's really good at finishing around the rim. And him getting the ball to DeAndre Ayton, that will open up their offense just a little bit more.
Believing in DeAndre Ayton is a recipe for disaster, but
I mean,
no, Mars. What are we? When you say believing in DeAndre Ayton, believing in DeAndre Ayton to do what? For us to win the NBA championship, as opposed to getting out of the bottom of the West.
I think we could win the NBA.
Donovan Clingan will be their starting center in about 2 months.
From UConn?
Yeah.
Hey, well, Morris, I guess that means he's above average. But we got to move on to the next person. We have at number 25, Billy Donovan.
Billy D.
That was the other one I wanted to put Brian Keefe over, but I'm giving Billy Donovan the benefit of the doubt. But I don't think he's good either.
Oh, Billy
they're the two coaches who I think are bad. Everyone else in the NBA I don't think is a bad coach.
This is where after Billy Donovan, this is where the list gets tricky for me. This is where the shit gets real tricky because we got a bunch of coaches that are damn good, but because they are where they are, they look like they're bad coaches. These dudes is not. They're not bad coaches.
Yeah, these two.
What went into putting Billy Donovan here, and did you factor anything that he did in OKC?
I mean, I wasn't a fan of what he did in OKC either, but no, I didn't factor that in. The amount of 3-guard lineups I've seen from Billy Donovan, very interesting. The way he's still using Vucevic in pick and roll defensively, interesting. The way he has Billy Donovan Vucevic spacing the floor, interesting. The way I don't feel he's maximizing guys like I would assume his ability on defense, interesting. There's just I don't know if there's a decision I've liked from him. Any in terms of personnel, in terms of scheme, in terms of defense. I don't think there's really been anything I've really liked. He has some nice out of bounds plays. Everything else I don't like. Like it's just I'm like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like those decisions, don't like that. And I'm like, So yeah, just there's not much to like for me with Billy Donovan personally. But I didn't go back to OKC. But if I did, I might have had him maybe one spot higher.
All right. That's Billy Donovan. Coming in at 24, we have Kenny Atkinson.
Where did I have him?
Yeah, Atkinson a little bit higher.
I had him slightly higher. I had him at 20.
I had him at 21.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is like I said, this is where it gets tricky because I had Quinn Snyder at 24. But I mean, Kenny Atkinson is a damn good coach.
Yeah, I think he unfairly got fired in Brooklyn.
Yes, he got ran out of there. He ended up taking that team that was decimated by injury. I mean, they lost Kyrie Irving early in the season. D'Angelo Russell ended up being an all-star, even though he was an alternate. But even still, I think the way he implemented D'Angelo Russell in that offense, having D'Angelo Russell with the ball in his hands at that time, being more of a downhill guy, playing to his strengths, and they were a pretty good team defensively too. Now that I think about it, when that team was rolling, don't get me wrong, COVID kind of threw a monkey wrench in a lot of that, but he got ran out of there. And if he would have been at the helm when they had KD and Irv and James Harden, I think we'd be looking at something different. I think he's a damn good coach, and I think he's going to be a damn good coach in Cleveland.
He got a good team. He got a good
damn good coach. Damn good team.
I think he's a really good coach, and I think him coming 20th is a testament to how good the league is. I'm gonna be honest, past the Billy Donovan point,
24.
Everyone, my fault. 20 is a testament to how good the league is. I think past this point, everyone is a good coach. There's not one who I think is a bad coach. Now, there's some who I think are probably not good enough for the jobs they have, but I still think they're good coaches. Kenny Atkinson is one of them. I love the way he uses wings. I love the way he uses his shooters in particular in terms of the quick offense he has, utilizing cuts, using off-ball action. And I love the way he uses his bigs in terms of pick and roll players and those things. So I think Jarrett Allen's going to be great with him. I think Evan Mobley, if he plays the 5 a bit more, is going to be great with him. Darius Garland, I think, is going to have a really good year with him. I really like Kenny Atkinson as a coach. Defensively, I'm not as high, but I still think he's a good coach. So, like, overall, I'm not going to lie. Him falling this low, I just think
it's a testament.
I wouldn't have him this low, but like,
in the game, it's a lot.
Yeah, I would have him over a couple guys, but I think this is tough.
All right. Moving along at 23, it's Willie Green.
I had him at 24.
I had Willie Green a lot higher than 23.
I mean, he just got to show it. I mean, he got the pieces. He just got to show it. I mean, part of it is Zion, but he got to show it. He got to show. He obviously know what he's doing. He been in the league basically since he left college. He's just been in the league straight through. He knows what he's doing. But
I had him at 21.
Yeah, he was my 24. It was the offense for me. Not a huge fan of his offensive schemes and principles. I feel like they are quite elementary. To go back to Ox's Russ stuff, so not a huge fan of that. And then part of it was me watching them in the preseason. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I'm deciding, I'm nitpicking.
This preseason,
yes, I was like, I don't know who I'm gonna put. I watched the Pelicans in the preseason. I'm like, I don't like this. So he's gonna end up going one spot lower. That's how close I was deliberating between him and 23. So like, I'm gonna be honest, most of these are very interchangeable for me. So it doesn't take much for me to just make my decision on that day. I was watching the Pels play the Magic. I was like, I don't like this offensively at all. I don't like how much they're putting the ball in Zion's hands, where they're putting the ball in his hands. I know DeJounte hasn't been there for very long. Do not like the way they're using him. There was just things I was just watching. I'm like, I didn't like the offense last year. And in the one preseason game, haven't liked it. So I'm going to put him below number 23.
Well, that's what swayed me last year. That's what swayed me in favor of Willie Green when he put Zion at the 1 and made him more of a ball handler and got him getting downhill more and creating offense for other people, in addition to creating offense for himself, because he was such a mismatch nightmare for bigs when he gets the ball coming down the floor on the right wing, whether he's on the right wing or he's at the top. I didn't give Zion nearly as much credit for him as a distributor. And when Willie Green put the ball in his hands and he got downhill, I was like, you know what? That's a great adjustment. So that's what swayed me with Willie Green. This is what sucks about this list. Ron, I was ready to crack my phone last night. I swear I was ready to crack my computer last night when I was doing this because I was like, yo, this guy is good. And I got to put him at 23? This sucks.
Been really good at developing players, but he did have one of the two best shooting coaches in the league, and now he doesn't. So we'll see. And last year, I don't really think he had a point guard. Playing CJ McCollum, it's really hard to coach a competent offense without a point guard.
A legit point guard, yeah. I can get that.
I can definitely empathize with that. Definitely.
Hell yeah. That's why I felt bad for Frank Vogel last year.
But I mean, like, if you look at the development of Trey Murphy III, you look at Herb Jones, you look at a lot of guys, Jose Alvarado, right? I think almost Dyson Daniels, holy shit. Like almost every single player who's played for Willie Green has gotten better, which I really like and appreciate. And he's clearly, and there's also a bit of an appeal to authority. I love their executive staff. Like, I love the decisions they make in the draft. I love the decisions they make with personnel. If they've got this guy leading their program, that's like intuitively, I'm like, he's probably very good behind the scenes. But,
well, Coach, that goes back to what you just got finished talking about earlier in the show. I feel like those guys relate to him.
Yeah,
I feel like that's probably why they're receptive to the stuff that he says, because being a former player, you might look at the game a little bit different, but him transitioning into coach, it seems like they relate to him. Right. Where whenever he tells them something, okay, all right, coach, that does make sense.
And he wasn't like a superstar or anything. Like, you really got to watch basketball, know who Willie Green was, but he could play.
Willie was all right though.
Yeah.
He played like 10 years in the league, something like that.
Maybe more than that. Yeah. He played for a while.
But he's humble. He's not an egomaniac, and that's what helps him.
Yep.
Which is maybe not what's going to help Mr. Laker guy.
I'm real interested to see how that works in terms of his X and O's, because I understand dealing with James on a day-to-day basis can take some years off your life, 100%. And me being a coach, I have to be able to get the respect of the rest of my dudes. If I'm drawing up a play, be quiet, because I saw Ty Lue do that. Right. I saw James trying to implement his whatever it is, and Ty Lue was trying to talk, and Ty Lue was like, yo, be the hell quiet and let me do my job. And I think that's what even at this age, I think that's what you have to do with James. Can JJ Redick do that? Even though he's one of the more arrogant guys, right? Even smart as he is, he's one of the more arrogant and outspoken guys, and he knows the game. So I don't think that he's going to be able to handle himself taking James's shit. For lack of a
I don't think we'll have an issue with that. I don't think JJ Redick finna let LeBron James run him over. JJ Redick don't seem like he's scared. He's not scared of Bron. If he got something to say, I'm sure he's gonna say it. JJ Redick is one of them dudes, like the ego, arrogance is what you need in Los Angeles. LA is not only a different market, different franchise, different team. It's a whole different city. It's a different aura. In LA, if you're not gonna stand on your nuts, get up out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if I don't think JJ Redick's going to. Now, it might not end well for him as far as how Bron responds to it, but that's okay though. You know what I'm saying? You can't go in there with your tail tucked if you want to coach the Lakers, especially this Lakers team with LeBron James being at this stage of his career.
Frank Vogel won a championship in Los Angeles.
That's what you have to do,
Frank Vogel won a championship in Los Angeles, and he's one of the most reserved and not egotistical type of dudes, right? Just coaches really well, really understands defense, and probably is a little bit underrated, and is now out of the league.
They made a mistake doing that too.
That don't got nothing to do with JJ Redick though.
But you're saying that if you're going to coach in LA, you got to be this sort of like, you got to be. You said arrogant. I don't think Phil Jackson was arrogant.
Phil Jackson was 100% arrogant.
You think so?
I think he was confident
and everything.
Yes, he was.
I think he was confident. Personally.
I think he 100%. So I'm not saying that you can't be more than one way, but I do think that JJ Redick's way of carrying himself and responding to people when they try to play
tough.
like
he needs to be tough.
No, what I'm saying is that the way he is, you know what I'm saying, speaking up and being a little arrogant or whatever, I don't think it's a knock because of where he is. I don't think at all. You know what I'm saying? Not even at all. And that doesn't mean that you can be another way you can be more reserved and not be successful. I think there's more than one way to coach a basketball team.
It's going to be a situation when JJ draws something up and Braun going to do something totally different. And how he respond is just going to set pace for the whole season.
But here's the thing, though, Coach. We've had coaches who've done that. I mean, the coach of the year, and Mike Brown, he did that with the Lakers. I remember he's drawing up something, and I remember Kobe Bryant saying he went to Andrew Bynum, we ain't running that. This is what we about to run. So, you know, cause that happens with all coaches.
How did Mike Brown respond to that? Do y'all remember? Do y'all know?
He got fired.
Well, he got fired. He got fired because Kobe ran something different, or
no, not because Kobe ran something different, but I mean, that was a dumpster fire there. Yeah. When you think about what I think they had 3 coaches, but how Mike Brown responded to it, I mean, that depends on when it was. But that particular situation, I wasn't there, so I can't tell you. But the point that I was making was with Coach talking about guys deviating from offenses. But players do that all the time. Whether it's Bryant, whether it's James, I mean, we saw Magic deviate away from the offense. Guys deviate away from the offense all the time.
Mm-hmm. But chill, I want to ask you on that. I think there's a difference between when Coach, if Coach draws something up and then as soon as he draws it up, I'll turn to the guy like, yo, we're not doing that bullshit. Or if it's like you draw it up and then we get out there and something's happening, and I'm like, well, I can't do that. So now I gotta cook something else. I think there's a difference in that. Like,
100% it is. If we're in the meat and potatoes of the game and you talking about me being a decoy, no, we ain't running that. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. No, we're not running that. No, give me. This is where I'm going to be. Give me the ball. Clean the whole left side of the floor. Game over right here. Especially if I'm the best player on the team or one of the best players on the team, and I got to go. No, we're not running that. No, we're not. Yeah. I can get with that to some degree. Now, if we're in the middle of the second quarter, Ox, and you drawing something up, or I'm defying almost everything that you draw up, now we got a problem. 100%, we got a problem.
That's crazy. At that point, it's like, what am I doing here?
Right. If everything that we're not doing that, or maybe we should do it. Yo, shut the hell up and let me do my job.
Yeah.
All right. At number 22.
22.
Cover your ears, Ox.
That's crazy.
It's Darko.
What about 23, cool. Ron? How about 23? Who was 23, Ron?
I had him a lot higher, but it's cool.
Willie Green was 23.
Right? I had Darko at 21, and I actually think he is a really good coach. But
I had him at 8.
I had him at 20.
5.
Yeah, I don't think I was gonna get him in the top 10, but
I had him at 20.
I considered him as high as 15. I considered him as high as 15.
I think everyone got better. He broke a lot of bad habits for Emmanuel quickly and RJ Barrett. I see Grady Dick getting better. I saw Scotty Barnes take a huge jump. I see innovative offense. And honestly, I saw him completely transform the culture here. A culture which, by the way, a guy who's going to make your top 10 absolutely created in Toronto, which was a culture of selfishness, a culture of betting for contracts, a culture of putting eye over team. And he came in day one and he said, out with the old, in with the new. He's got this team believing in themselves. He's got them actually, together despite everything that they went through last year. I mean, RJ Barrett's brother passing away, Jonte Porter scandal, Christian Coloco, the blood clot situation. There's so many distractions and so many places this team could have turned on each other, but they never did. And I think it's because he is that type of coach. And he's also a guy who's been coaching since he was 16. My family comes from the same city as Darko in Serbia. So I got a lot of insight into him. I got to talk to a lot of people that he coached when he was 18, 19, 20. You listen to the players that this guy's coached as an assistant coach. And this is why I value assistant coaching experience so much, because you work with players all the time. You learn how to talk to these guys. Yeah, you never made the big decision, but you might have watched the guy make the big decision. You were part of some of those big decisions. And the way Mikal Bridges talks about him, the way Desmond Bane talks about him, the way Devin Booker's talked about him, the way that these guys talk about how this guy approaches the game, his overall philosophy, his ability to learn, the fact that he reached out to Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich when he got the job. Like, I think he's really in that group of wonderkin type of coaches because he's also very young. I think what hurts him is unfortunately something that, who was that number 2 pick that failed in Philadelphia? What's his name?
Evan Turner.
Evan Turner, right. Sorry, my bad. Nice. Yes, Evan Turner. And Evan Turner said, when Darko had that big epic rant, Scotty Barnes is going to be an all-star. He's going to be the face of the league. This is crap. And everyone made fun of him because a lot of people, were making fun of the accent. I don't realize how many different languages this guy speaks, right? They just see the accent. And then Evan Turner said, he probably should have gotten one of his assistants to make that rant because of his English. And then I was like, damn, that's why a lot of foreign coaches don't get the respect. The fact that he's coming to an NBA locker room with 14, 15, 16 NBA players and commanded their respect on day one, despite the language barrier, despite the accent, despite, you know, the fact that he's a EuroLeague style coach and he coaches these guys hard. He's putting them through practices. So I think he's a great coach. I'm not mad at him being 21. I wouldn't have been mad at him being 25. I have him top 10.
This team's just not going to be good. Are they going to make the playoffs?
Maybe they'll push 40 wins. Maybe they'll push 38. But I tell you what, those young kids are going to get way better.
I really like how he's used Scotty Barnes, and Grady improving over the course of the season was nice. But Scotty Barnes in particular, because I feel like he was miscast as a point of attack stopper early on in his career. I don't think that's his game. But I do like his versatility, his switchability. But him really is like he's like a shot blocker. That's what he's a roamer, he's a destroyer. Like that. That's how I view him defensively. And Darko put him in that role and allowed him to really be maximized. So like I really think Darko's a really, really good coach. The reason I had him lower is some of it is I just haven't seen him in like the playoff environment where you have to make adjustments on a game-to-game basis. Some of it is he hasn't been around very long. But just generally speaking, I'm gonna keep saying it as we go up this list until it feels like everyone's being respected. I think these guys are all really, really good coaches. I had him at 20.
The one thing I'll push back on, him being worse than Doc Rivers to me is crazy. That to me is like,
I didn't want to be too I put Doc higher than I probably wanted to put him because I didn't want to be called the Doc Rivers hater today. I didn't want to be called a Doc Rivers hater today. I had him probably about I had him about 4 spots lower than I wanted. I had him 4 spots higher than I wanted to have him, but I just kept moving him up because I could make the argument he's better than this guy, and I don't want to be called a hater. So yeah, I probably would have had him lower if I wasn't bothered to be called a hater today. I can't be bothered. So I had him a bit higher than.
Don't worry, I called you a Jordy Fernandez hater for 10 minutes just to make up for it. So
facts, yeah. Jordy Fernandez, man. Hey, if you don't start Ben Simmons, I will be a hater. So let's put that in.
Get Ben Simmons off the floor.
You don't start Ben Simmons, I'm gonna be a hater.
Get Simmons off the floor.
2 points, Mars. 2 points. One.
Get Ben Simmons.
They were two valuable points. They were two valuable points. So
of all the hills to die on, Mars, Ben Simmons.
I'm gonna love that hill because when that hill comes to fruition and you see Ben Simmons is back, stay on that side, man. Stay on that side.
Oh my god.
It's cool.
All right, y'all. Moving on to the very next one. At 21, we have the Jazz head coach, Will Hardy.
Where did I have him?
17.
Okay.
We're at 21. I thought we was at 22. Okay. Will Hardy. I had Will Hardy at 22. Love him offensively. Not the biggest fan defensively. Some of it's personnel things. Definitely personnel things. But just in terms of some of the principles, and I feel like transition defense, I think a lot of that's coaching. I'm gonna be honest. When you have the athletes you have, I think a lot of that's coaching. I hate that transition defense. Some of the things I feel like he's very experimental, which I like. But sometimes I feel like on a bad team, there's a level of experimentation you can get away with. So once again, similar to the Darko thing, I don't know how much of that's going to translate to the higher levels in terms of the experiments he does. But offensively, love him. Defensively, not so much. So that's why I had him at 22. But if you're doing strictly offensive coaches, I'd have him a lot higher. Maybe even in the top 10. I'm not gonna lie. But
that's why I don't know what he
never do that, Mars.
Do what?
Just rank just offensive coaches. And if we
hey, Mike D'Antoni, man.
I don't want to be a part of that, bro.
I think, okay, so the obvious successor to Brad Stevens was gonna be Will Hardy.
It was.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
Ime Udoka got the job. Will Hardy goes off to Utah, and then of course,
that's how
then Ime Udoka thing happens, and that was the thing, right? So it was really neck and neck between Will Hardy and Ime Udoka, and I think they're both really, really good coaches. I think they're both borderline top 10 coaches. I had Hardy at I think 17.
I had him
17, 16, and I think I had Ime 9 or 10. So I think they're both great coaches. What is clear to me is that if the natural order of things had happened, i.e. had Ime Udoka not been chosen and Will Hardy would be the coach of the Celtics, had Ime Udoka stayed on as the coach of the Celtics, they would each have at least one championship with the Celtics, just like Joe Mazzulla has. We're not that far removed from Joe Mazzulla being clowned as one of the worst coaches in the league. We're not that far removed from him being talked about as like, who is this guy who's never really coached at this level? He was like the third in line behind Brad Stevens, and now he's considered some offensive genius because he keeps talking about spacing. So I think sometimes it's true. It's true. Your defense is bad. It was the spacing. Your rebounding was bad. It was the spacing. Your shots didn't fall. It was the spacing. You know, there's a virus going on. It's the spacing. The spacing is the problem. Like everything's the spacing with him. And I kind of agree with some of the stuff that he says, but listening to JJ Redick glaze him every single day on the podcast was kind of insane. So I'm just saying, like, situation matters. I think Will Hardy and Ime Udoka would have had a championship with the Celtics too, had they been the ones to continue succeeding for Brad Stevens. I think Brad Stevens' coaching tree is insane.
I do think that Coach Udoka would have won it eventually. They were right at the doorstep. I don't think that they were that far away.
Yeah, I think Udoka elite.
Yeah. I don't think that they were that far away with Coach Udoka.
Shall I address the elephant in the room?
What, Will Hardy?
No, if Brad Stevens would have stayed there, if this roster would have panned out, I'm assuming Brad Stevens would have won it.
I think they checked out on him.
They went as far as they were going to go with Brad Stevens.
No, chill.
But he was great.
He's great. He's great in the front office. So.
No, he is. But I'm saying this past year, with this roster, I think Brad Stevens and what he showed us as a coach, he wins with this roster too.
Okay, first and foremost,
if Udoka isn't diddling in the front office, he wins too. So if Will Hardy would have stayed there and would have been the successor, he probably wins with this roster too. Joe Mazzulla got it. He wins with this roster. I'm not knocking Joe Mazzulla. I'm just saying he's done a good job with a very good roster.
I think Joe Mazzulla is really, really good. So.
I do too. I 100% believe that. So number one, if Brad Stevens doesn't go into the front office, they don't get KP. If he doesn't go into the front office, they don't get Drew.
I understand that too.
So.
But the thing too, though,
it's worth noting that a lot of the pieces the Celtics currently are loaded with, they weren't viewed that way before they got there. I mean, I love Derek White, and I loved what Kristaps Porzingis did in his year at Washington. I was like really pushing for the Raptors. I wanted the Raptors to trade for Kristaps, and I'm like, holy shit! Like this guy's a rim protector right now. He's healthy. Like this guy could be on a new level right now in a different part of his career. And the point is, Derek White and Kristaps Porzingis are now seen as part of a super team, whereas they were throwaways. Al Horford was a throwaway. I'm gonna be honest, like Al Horford, he was a guy whose contract was just
being viewed as Washington OKC. I don't know
exactly. So
they got Derek White for a bucket of extra crispy and a 6 pack.
They paid him down. I think they paid 2-3 first-round picks, right? So I don't think enough. But think about this: like how many great players did San Antonio parse out in order to tank for Victor Wembanyama? Think about it. They got rid of Derek White. They got rid of DeMar DeRozan. They got rid of DeJounte Murray. Imagine having all those pieces right now with Victor Wembanyama.
You had them pieces.
No,
you wouldn't have been able to tank.
They would have written lottery for them anyway. They still would have done.
But Joe Mazzulla was getting talked about bad just for no reason. When he first got to the Celtics, Joe Mazzulla wasn't doing bad. It was just how that goes.
He's a little weird.
But definitely different. Well, I don't know if he was a D2 head coach.
But that's what I'm saying. The Celtics been he been on their radar even before that. Like they wanted him. It's not like Joe Mazzulla was just like just somebody. Oh well, I guess we'll take Joe. Like they wanted Joe Mazzulla.
They would have preferred Will Hardy. I guarantee it. There was
I didn't say anything about Will Hardy. I'm just saying that Joe Mazzulla was not just some like, oh, I guess we'll take this guy.
Well, no, if he was your fourth option. If Brad Stevens was your first option, Ime was your second option, Will Hardy was your third option. Then
they had to get somebody opt. They had to get somebody.
I know that, but it's not like they were just like, hey, well,
they had a lot of guys lined up. They really
they might have called you. If Joe said no, they might have called you.
I'm saying what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not talking about nothing else but what I said.
I'm saying what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
That's a bar right there.
They didn't just go grab Joe Mazzulla like they never heard of this guy.
Part of it already.
Did I say they grabbed him off the street?
Bro, I'm not even talking to you, bro.
Pin and Ox. We'll get to Joe Mazzulla when we get to Joe Mazzulla. We'll get to Joe Mazzulla when we get to Joe Mazzulla.
We'll get to Joe Mazzulla, but I want you to understand that I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you.
The people.
Okay. I want people to understand. I want everybody to understand that Joe Mazzulla is not just some throwaway coach. Like he's actually, he's been coaching since 2011.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
how old is he in 2011?
I think he's 20, 21, something like that.
21 and 15 is not too far off. It
he
really
has,
is.
he has a resume.
So 6 years, Mars.
He
I know
has
6
a
years is a
resume.
lot for you, but like in the grand scheme of
he
things,
has a resume, and it's a good resume. You know what I'm saying? And he's shown that he stands on principle. He's not moved by glitz and glam, and that he's, you know what I'm saying, he's a good guy off the court too. Joe Mazzulla is a stand-up guy. You can leave him around your wife. You know what I'm saying? And so
unlike somebody else, Ox.
All these guys cheat. A lot of guys
20,
cheat.
Unlike somebody else.
Ime
On
Udoka
Nia
got
Longo
caught.
is crazy, but
I mean, the thing about it though, Ox, is you don't know if Joe's looking at your wife or not. According to some people, one eye goes this way, the other goes this way, or is it this way? Well, either way, you get what I'm saying. All right. Before we get to number 20, here's the list as currently it stands. We have Jordy Fernandez at 30, Charles Lee at 29, JJ Redick at 28, Brian Keefe at 27, Chauncey Billups at 26, Billy Donovan at 25, Kenny Atkinson at 24, Willie Green at 23, Darko Rakojevic. Darko
Rajakovic, Ron.
Rajakovic.
It's not that hard.
Rajakovic?
Ron.
Rajakovic.
I'm not gonna lie. You can say Antetokounmpo, but you can't say Rajakovic.
Darko Stojakovic at 22 and Will Hardy at 21.
Oh my God.
This is how we rocking, y'all. All right. Before we get into the next 10, a couple people became members, and we got some super chats. So let me go ahead and dive into a few of these. Also, y'all know the drill. Like the video, subscribe, become a member, and do all those other fancy things that you guys do in the chat, and keep going. Chris Martin became a member today. Salute to Chris Martin.
Should we salute him, though, Ron? Should we salute him? Because when I think about Chris, my grandmother told me don't never trust a man with two first names. Should we salute him?
Chris Martin? Yeah.
But you down with us, Chris? So come through, brother. We love you. If I got to deal with this dude,
Michael Jordan,
LeBron James, two first names.
Okay, first of all, people name their kids Jordan because of him.
True. LeBron James, two first names.
It is, and who said I trusted him?
What about Robert Oliver?
That also.
All right, Robert. I don't know. We gotta keep our eyes on you. What about Yersta? Yersta good?
Yersta sound like he'll run out. Yersta, because that sound like an incomplete name. It sound like he'll run out on you. Like you in the restaurant, he'll run out on the bill.
So I've done that.
Like Dine and Dash?
Yeah, that's what he sound like. Yersta.
What?
No, that sound like an incomplete name. Like he'll run out on the bill.
Like a Russian. Like it was smoke.
YSN Money sent through a members chat. He said Buddy Hield, Clay 2.0. I'm gonna keep saying this.
Here we go.
He keeps shooting like that.
I think he just gets the shots Clay had. I think
that's what they doing. They running Clay plays for.
I mean, yeah, that's what they supposed to do.
That makes sense though.
If he's shooting like that, I'm gonna be like,
hey, I told y'all Buddy was gonna be good over there.
And my fault. He spent the last 3 years only shooting wide open shots. Now he want to start shooting real shots. Like,
are y'all shocked by Buddy Hield knocking down three balls?
Yeah,
Buddy Hield does.
I know he can shoot. I'm shocked that he taking some of the shots he taking. But
he
I guess they gave him the ultimate green light.
Well, like, it's Steve Kerr. He putting that battery in his back.
Yeah, I know what
I'm here for. I always knew Buddy could shoot.
Yes, he can. 100% he can shoot.
These splash
you see him at Oklahoma? Oh my.
Yeah.
He said, what'd you say that again one more time?
Are they the Splash cousins? Not the Splash brothers. We the Splash cousins.
No, they new brothers now. There's no cousins.
They some. I don't know.
Ox, I ain't gonna lie to you, brother. I was watching I don't really pay a lot of attention to preseason games, but I was watching that game last night. DeMar DeRozan adding that in between game to y'all offense. Boy, Sacramento they're gonna be a lot to deal with. I'm liking what I'm seeing.
No, chill. No.
They got somebody to throw the ball to the game.
Not possible.
I'm liking him adding that in between to y'all offense.
Imagine that we finally get ourselves a 6'6" wing that can ISO score, but that's no good for us. It's only good for you guys didn't make the playoffs in 16 seasons. All right, bro.
Dubs the money man says starting a franchise with a great coach to build a team or a great player with a JJ Redick coming in. Which one?
Well, maybe JJ Redick's a great coach.
Great player and just fire
Give me
JJ
the
Redick.
player. Give me the player. I know what to get out the player. Give me the player every time.
You know what I mean? Isn't that what they got? They got two.
Yeah,
LeBron,
they got, they got two top 10 players and a great coach. Like they chilling. Should win the chip.
You rate JJ 30th though. Oh, my fault.
Nah, 20.
I'm sorry. I'm joking.
I ranked him 29 because I put Keith at. I put Will. I put Keith at 30.
I ain't gonna disrespect my Wizards.
Chauncey Billups was 26 for me.
Oh damn! You think he's a really good coach? I'm trolling.
DSG Piccolo said, "Will your feelings change on Ayton if he regularly played like he did post All-Star break? Also, no. Mars, what specifically don't you like about Chauncey? About how Chauncey uses Thibault? So 2024, Glenn Rivers is good.
What DeAndre Ayton did post All-Star break was just take more of the shots I hate. I'm gonna be honest. Like it wasn't like he improved. He still weren't setting screens. He was still flashing to the middle of the floor. He just makes those free throw line jumpers all the time. Like nothing. That's not changing anything. That's how I view DeAndre Ayton anyway. And then how I don't like how he uses Thibault. I think it's less about how he uses Thibault and how he uses everyone around Thibault. If you're going to use Thibault as this wrecking ball free safety who's going to gamble on everything and like just cause havoc on offenses, you have to have your other defensive players in position for the fact that you know your defense is going to be in rotation. Because Matisse Thybulle naturally is going to put your defense in rotation because of how aggressive he's going to be. He seems to not account for that. So when Matisse Thybulle isn't successful in what he's doing and there's a little stupid zone he'd be doing when he has Matisse Thybulle out there, they end up just giving up wide open looks all the time because there's no adjustment for what you have out there with Matisse Thybulle. The most adjustment he has is, we got Matisse, we're going to run this weird zone, which is actually quite effective. And Matisse is just going to wreck everything above the break. But then the moment that doesn't work, your defense is now extremely compromised and you're doing nothing to account for that. That's what I don't like about how he uses Matisse Thybulle. So less about Matisse's skill set and more about how he adapts to Matisse's skill set beyond the initial adaptation. I guess.
And Matisse is a really good one-on-one defender, and I don't think he utilizes him nearly as much as a one-on-one defender as he should.
He's all right. He's probably the best on that. Nah, he's like the second best on their team in terms of one-on-one defense, but that just shows what they have on their team more than anything.
Miles, are you fighting Thybulle as a good one-on-one defender? Are you
fighting he cool. I think he's the second best on that team, one-on-one defense.
So who's number one?
Tamani Kamara. But he the second best on that team.
He's great.
Yeah, I love Tamani Kamara.
He need to unleash both.
What about Denny Avdia?
I like.
I was talking about last season's team.
I like Denny.
Not this year.
This season, Denny's probably going to be their best defender this year.
I was about to say he might be their best defender.
Y'all think Denny better than Thibault and Kamara?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thibault's already not their best defender. It's Tamani, but Thibault was their second best defender last year, in my opinion. But this year, I think he'll probably be third. I don't even know how much he's going to play, if I'm being honest. But
crazy that a rookie who was in the second round was that good, and nobody cared because people were too busy talking shit about Scoot Henderson all year.
I mean, people weren't watching the Blazers, but me, I really liked him. Any sort of offense from him.
Are they your third team in the West? Are they a third team in the West?
No, I really like Utah as well. I like the bad team. I like the bad teams in the West. They're not the teams that the Rockets aren't really competing with. Either you're too good for us or you're too bad for us. I really like those teams because it's like there's no threat here.
All right.
Mitsu sent through a members chat. Been a member for 3 months. Mitsu said, Ron is the chosen one when it comes to hosting.
No, he is not.
W.
Can we get back to the list? Can we get back to the list?
Mitsu.
No, he isn't. Garbage.
You have the vision.
52 minutes to talk about.
I know
yeah, we got 52 minutes to do 20 coaches, Ron.
I just want to acknowledge Mitsu because I know he graduated summa cum laude. Very, very intelligent guy. But all right, let's get back to it. At 19,
the smartest people have said dumb things. Just so you know, Ron.
Yeah, all right. I know some dumb people that say smart things too. At 20, we have Quinn Snyder of the Hawks.
I had him at 23. This host, oh my god,
garbage.
I'm at 21. So
yeah, I had him at 23. It was between him and Willie Green for me. I'm not gonna lie, I favored offense, so that's why I went Quinn Snyder over Willie Green. I feel like he's one of the most creative offensive coaches in the NBA, like extremely creative, which I really value a lot. Similar to Will Hardy. Defensively, I don't like it. That's it. I don't like it defensively. And also, there's a hint of bias. not the biggest fan of how he's used Onyeka Okongwu the last 2 years. So that's probably held him back a little bit. But offensively, elite of the elite coach. I don't think there's many better in the game than him in terms of creativity and sets that he runs. So Quinn Snyder, very, very good coach. But I had him lower, slight bias, and also defensively not the biggest fan. So
I think that's why this list is what it is, because these coaches are so good. I think that he did a good job in toning down Trae Young's shot selection. I mean, he did walk into a dumpster fire when this team was really disgruntled by losing Nate McMillan. The fact that he was able to speed them up, which made this kid Jalen Johnson even better. I think that him utilizing him in transition makes them even better. To your point, Mars, I don't know what they're doing with Okongwu, and I didn't know what he was doing with AJ Griffin, and I was really concerned about that. Defensively, he still hasn't shown me in terms of rotations how much better he can get, even though he may have a point guard that's undersized, that doesn't really defend, but those other guys on the wing will actually compete on the defensive end, and I thought that they would be better, but they're not. So when I think about what Quinn Snyder can do offensively, I can get with that. Defensively, not so much.
It might be a personnel thing, though, because Trey's competed more with Quinn Snyder than any coach I think he's played for defensively. I think this is the best Trey's been on defense. So, I mean, he's still bad. But, so that might be Quinn Snyder getting him to buy in and all of those things. And now with the addition of Dyson, one of the best guard defenders in the league, if you don't know, you're going to know this year. Zachary, I think, can be solid on that end early on. Strength might be an issue, but overall solid. Jalen Johnson showed me that he can be a good defender. But I'm not DeAndre Hunter. I don't
garbage.
He just ain't got it.
Trash. And he made a glass on top of that, coach.
And
he's made a glass
when they got him, but Jesus Christ, DeAndre Hunter.
He don't want to touch people. Yeah, he just that good.
Damn.
Yeah. So some of it might be a personnel thing. So I might be a bit low on Quinn Snyder. I could have seen him about 15 is where I probably had the cutoff for this tier of coaches who I think are good, but they're all in the same group. I could have saw him as high as about 15, 16.
Everybody we say right now, I don't think is bad at all.
I mean, these coaches is bad coaches.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Quinn Snyder, though. I had Quinn Snyder higher than that. I think
I had him at 19.
I think I had Quinn Snyder at 14 or something like that. I like Quinn Snyder.
If y'all had him so high, how do you get so low? All right.
I had him at 20.
I feel like a lot of these.
I think I'm the lowest person up here, and I had him at 19.
No,
20,
I had him at
23.
I had him at 24.
Oh no, I got 20.
Oh shit, never mind. I was in the
okay, so it balances out. Yeah.
Okay.
He ended up what 20? Was it 20? Ron?
19.
No, he's at 19.
Okay, 19.
Okay.
All right. Moving along. No, he's 20. I'm sorry, he's 20.
Oh.
But moving along to 19, guys say that we're out of the realm of bad coaches, but I don't know how y'all feel about I don't know how y'all feel about Doc Rivers, because he is at 19.
I had him at 19, and like I said, I could have put him about 23, 24. I just didn't want to be called the Doc Rivers hater today, so I moved him up. And the only reason I have him above Will Hardy, Darko, and Kenny is Darko and Will Hardy, the experience, and Kenny hasn't been a head coach for a while. That's the only way I was able to rationalize this. I don't think he's very good. I don't. So
I don't think that now. Okay, sure, Doc. I think a lot of us going off what Doc has done in the postseason, but I mean, he was able, considering what the situation that he walked into, which was a dumpster fire. Sure, it was, but he was able to get Pat Beverly to look good with that team defensively. He was able to do that. I still don't know what they're doing with their wings on defense. I still don't know what they're doing with that. And this can also be a personnel issue too, because I've seen Doc coach pretty good teams defensively. I have seen him do that. And they were competing last year against that Indiana team, which was at the top of the league offensively, with Pat Beverly. So the question that needs to be answered is how are they going to get better defensively? And I'm interested to see what Doc is going to do with guys like Gary Trent and Tayshaun Prince. Not Tayshaun Prince. Torian Prince.
Wish they had Tayshaun Prince. They wish they had Tayshaun.
I would love to have Tayshaun. Go get Tayshaun Prince, matter of fact. Yes. So I'm interested to see what he had. I had Doc at what is he at? 19. I had him at 15.
Yeah. I would have had him lower, but I just didn't want to be called a hater today. So 19. I can tolerate 19.
I had him at 19.
I had Doc at 15.
Ron, where'd you have him?
Let me see. I had Doc.
Ron, you did a list?
17. Yeah, he did a list.
If Doc didn't have a ring,
God damn.
I had him at 25.
He'd be in the bottom 10, coach.
That's a round where I had Doc originally. I just moved him up for no other reason other than I couldn't be bothered to call a hater today. So,
coach, he'd be in the bottom 10 if he didn't do what he did.
He wouldn't be in the league.
He wouldn't be probably coaching, but yeah,
he wouldn't be in the league right now.
Yeah.
Yes, he would, because how many bad coaches have we seen recycled? Yes, we've
just
seen
recycled.
That.
If he would have been out of the league 1-2
bad
years,
coaches with no success. How many bad coaches with no success get recycled?
That's very true. You got to have the success.
Bad coaches with success get the extra opportunities. How many bad coaches you do nothing?
I mean,
keep getting recycled.
So get recycled.
Well, not how many times have I seen Alvin Gentry get recycled? Right? Alvin's
done. Alvin's done. He's done.
When is the last time Alvin Gentry was coaching?
Alvin Gentry was in the, but when he was in the league, he was getting recycled. That's the point.
Yeah, he was there for a while.
But when you talk about Doc Rivers, Mike D'Antoni got that Houston team to the Western Conference Championship. I won't argue that.
We're not comparing Mike D'Antoni to Doc Rivers.
I won't argue that.
What?
We don't have time. He's not in the league right now. I'm sorry.
All right.
Yo, speaking of a coach getting recycled, at 18, we have JB Bickerstaff.
Oh, that's a good recycle.
You ain't said Rick Carlisle yet?
I had him at 17. I had him at 17.
Rick Carlisle top 5.
I had Bickerstaff way higher than that.
I liked him in Cleveland. I don't think he got fired.
One more time, coach.
I liked him in Cleveland. I don't think he should have got fired.
No, he shouldn't have. Nope. I got him right outside the top 10. I think JB Bickerstaff is a damn good coach. I don't think he's a good coach. I think he's a damn good coach. I like his philosophy defensively. I like the way he utilizes what he has with his guards, even though Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are small guards. I like the way he utilizes them. I like how fast they play and how fast they play in terms of them being the team that they are defensively. That enhances how fast they play. I like his schemes one-on-one, how he recognizes mismatches, how he predicates his guys getting downhill to get his big guys involved more. I love JB Bickerstaff. I just think he's in a bad situation right now in Detroit, but they're going to be better. Detroit, I think Detroit is going to be better.
Morris.
We don't have time for that. We don't have time. I think he's a good coach. Once again, I keep saying it for everyone. I think he's a good coach. The reason I had him, I guess, lower than maybe the wait, where did he finish?
18.
Oh, I had him at 17. I had him above the consensus. Let's go. But it was just some things in terms of in-game, like instant adjustments. I feel like that's where I think he lags behind for me personally. Just being able to react on the fly to certain things that happen. I feel like sometimes he takes a bit too long to recognize, and that can put his team in the hole sometimes. Offensively, I feel like his ability to use non-shooters needs some work. In terms of just how he's getting to his space and all of those things. I feel like he's not the best at using non-shooters, which is going to be a concern for me in Detroit because they have about 4 of them. So there's just some issues I have with him. So I had him a bit lower, but defensively, love him. Offensively, in terms of his principles, when he has the personnel, I think he's a really good coach. Just some minor things that I wasn't as high on. So
what about last year, Miles, when they played in the playoffs and they were down 17 in Game 7, and he ended up going to that zone because
I'm gonna be honest. It doesn't take a genius to figure out how to slow down that Orlando offense. I'm sorry, like that.
And when he went zone, it completely stifled them. And then now it might look
huge,
right? That was the idea.
They should have taken 7 games to realize.
But with that being said, it wasn't rocket science, even though it might not seem like rocket science, but to give the ball to Donovan Mitchell and to have them playing through him a little bit more, I mean, that was an adjustment that they made in Game 7. I thought that was a big deal considering how he got everybody else involved and him just not being a scorer. I think that was a huge adjustment on JB Bickerstaff part. Yeah, and then on top of that, when they played against Boston, when he implemented Evan Mobley more in the offense.
Yeah, I feel like he got forced into the Evan Mobley at the 5 thing, using him as more of a hub. That was because Jarrett Allen went down. I don't think he thought of that personally. I feel like his hands got forced. His hands got forced, and then it was like, oh my god, Evan Mobley can do all of these things. It's like, should have been playing.
But Jarrett Allen has been off the floor from time to time, and Evan Mobley has been moved to the 5. And he's seen how effective Evan Mobley is at the 5. So he does play him he has played him at the 5 throughout the course of the season. The problem is Evan Mobley had gotten hurt. Had Evan Mobley not gotten hurt, I think he would have had a different result. But it's not like he just recognized that Jarrett Allen was off the floor, so I guess I'll play Mobley.
But then it was that alongside Donovan Mitchell. It was like your hands got forced to where Evan Mobley had to do more offensively, and he answered the call. but I don't feel like that's not proactive. That's reactive. And I spoke about it earlier. I think proactivity is something I value a lot. So I have a bit
I can get with that.
of that. So that's why. But 17, really good coach. We're in a group of really good coaches. So I'm not trying to say he's bad. So it's just 17.
18, Mars.
18. I'm saying 17 for me. 17 for me.
Oh, got you. Well, speaking of 17, we're on number 17, and well, speaking of the Orlando Magic, Jamal Mosley is the next coach.
I think he was higher too. I had Jamal Mosley a little bit higher than that.
I had him at 16. Yeah, I had him at
16. I had him at 14.
It was the offense for me. That was it. The offense. I love the length that he's able to use. How he's able to shrink the floor defensively. Offensively, it leaves a lot to be desired. But a lot of it's personnel, in my opinion. But I feel like he didn't do a good job of putting Paolo in advantageous situations. Personally, I feel like he didn't unlock Franz as a driver enough. I feel like having Wendell in the corner is not viable for me. And Jonathan Isaac offensively, I feel like, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like he's able to be more of a screener, playing the middle of the floor a bit more. I feel like there's more he can explore offensively than he does. So that's why I had him at 16. But defensively, top of the line.
Well, he did just get the job. I value more how coaches can turn defense into offense. And I think he did a great job in doing that when having guys like Jalen Suggs on the wing, not just having Jalen Suggs on the wing, having Paolo being able to be switchable on the wing. Paolo isn't great as a defender, but being able to switch, them being able to be one of the better rebounding teams in the league and able to turn some of their defense into offense. I thought that was a big deal. Now, sure, so a lot of their offense is to be desired, but your best player was in year 2. So, right. I mean, I think that has a lot to do with it. But I think Jamal Mosley I had him at 14. I had Willie Green at 17.
He just keep getting better. Like first year, 20-some games. Second year, 30. Last year, 40. So he just keep getting better.
Yep.
They had 48 last year?
40. Yes. Yeah, high 40s. Yeah,
something like that. 48, 46, something like that. Yeah.
And we know they're going to be good this year. So
it's
going to be nice to see. And I like when you get a young coach with younger players, so you get to see
them grow with
together.
Them.
Yeah. But all right.
Hopefully they don't do nothing dumb like fire them. How about we keep this thing going?
Yeah, they're in the play-in this year and losing the play-in. He might be gone. We'll see.
No, for sure. You know how that goes.
That's how the NBA life is.
Depending what Pablo wants.
We just talked about a young coach with young players. Well, this next situation is a older coach with older players.
Buds?
Yes.
Championship.
Coach Bud.
Where we at? 15?
16.
16.
I had him at 15.
I think he's going to have a lot of success
I had him at 13.
18.
I'm not gonna lie. What I'm seeing in preseason, I probably should have put him higher. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm looking at preseason.
Nah,
please,
the way
coach,
that
right?
It's not about whether or not they're winning. It's the way they're playing. This giving me nice Bud and the Hawks days vibes.
And he just trying some things, man. Like, when you play with him,
the way they're playing, I'm moved. I don't know if it doesn't translate to the regular season, then but it looks good, and I like their rookies a lot. But if Bud's getting back to the ball moving, it's not sticking with his superstars, and he's
changing the offense.
And the offense is really cohesive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a better coach than that. That's the Bud I really like. Mm-hmm. The Bud that just says, "Oh, let me get the ball to my superstar and rock out." I don't like that. I don't like
that. Say what you want. Bud was bad for the Bucks.
But this Bud, if that's the Bud we gonna get, I'd have him higher for sure. So 15 during the season, I might reevaluate that personally, but. I like it.
I had Rick Carlisle there.
Rick Carlisle hasn't been said yet.
Yes, sir.
No, he's elite. Rick Carlisle's good.
No,
that's what I'm saying, Mars. I said that a second ago. Like, where's Rick Carlisle?
Yeah, but he still hasn't been. Okay.
Rick Carlisle's under the same exact act as Doc Rivers.
I got Carlisle 9.
If not. Rick Carlisle and Doc Rivers is 2 peas in the pot.
Rick Carlisle just no offense.
They are not.
The only difference between them is complexion and hairstyle. That's
Lord.
Rick Carlisle and who else? Rick Carlisle and who? Rivers. You think they one in the same?
That's the same motherfucker, chill.
I think Rick Carlisle has changed, man. The way they playing offense last year, he ain't never did that before. He was running.
Actually, he did. He did that. He did that when they won a championship in 2011. They weren't running a lot of action. They were just running. Yeah. That's all they were doing. In 2011, it was just it was once the ball got across half court, we had a lot of movement, but it wasn't a lot of just standing around. No, there was action.
Wow.
So I mean, I had Rick Carlisle at 16.
Yeah, well, we haven't got to him yet. Okay. And before we get to Rick Carlisle, next at 15 we have Jason Kidd.
J Kidd.
But I have
y'all dudes might be a little higher on J Kidd than I am.
I had him at 9th.
I got him at 12.
Yeah, I had him at 12.
I had him at 19.
I had him 15.
You think Rick Carlisle is better than Jason Kidd?
Yeah, the reason why the reason why Mars is here's why. The exact thing that you said about Coach Bud, Jason Kidd will do the exact thing with Luka. The exact same thing.
He spoke about having Luka off the ball more this year. He said that.
That would be great. That would be fantastic. I have yet to see that.
Sounds good to Luka want the ball.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he did say I'm gonna ask Luka how he feels about it.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, but there's a difference between wanting to have him off the.
He wants him off the ball more, but he also wants to listen to Luka. That makes sense.
Right.
Defensively, I feel like he's as close to a mastermind without being a mastermind as there is in the league, if I'm being honest. Defensively, I think he's really, really good. Offensively, a bit simplistic.
Same thing about Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle is one of the better defensive coaches. I think the problem was it was a personnel thing in Indiana, 100%. He had a soft big man. Not only did he have a soft big man, he had a clueless Obi Toppin who had no idea what he's doing. So I think it was personnel in Indiana more than it was Coach Rick Carlisle.
Obi got better. Obi got better. I remember the Knicks days. Trust me, he was terrible. He got a little bit better.
That sounds like he just sucked less. That's what it sounds like.
Well, yeah, that's what it is.
It's progress.
He's still a negative.
You go from the 300th best player to 200th best player in the league. You still suck relatively.
No, you don't.
You're better.
I'm just talking about.
Obi's a better player, but defensively, he's still bad in my opinion. He's
clueless.
If you think about it, chill. Since we're talking about J Kidd and Rick Carlisle, I mean, J Kidd's kind of responsible for us still having to deal with Rick Carlisle. You know what I'm saying? J Kidd,
you're the reason why he's still here. That's why.
If Rick Carlisle,
if you was gone, maybe he would be gone. How about that?
Right? I
want to see how he used Clay. I want to see how you.
Yeah, me too.
Coach, the problem that we got.
The
problem that we got is if you think about what they're doing on defense, because Mars, you talking about him being a mastermind. I mean,
close to a mastermind.
Sure, all right, but you think about the perimeter defense. I mean, who's their primary defender on the wing? It's going to be Clay.
But that's what I'm saying. He's made the best of a bad situation defensively, and he's managed to make good defenses out of it. That's why I think he's a mastermind. The same reason I'm assuming Spo is going to be number one on this list. Spoiler. Okay. That's what we praise Spo for, making the best of what we don't view as elite personnel.
Right.
Jason Kidd, defensively, I feel has made the most of some egregious defensive personnel he's had over the last few years, and he's been able to build very good playoff defenses and very good regular season defenses for the 2 years they've had actual success. Like I view that as very valuable. Now, can it be exploited in the postseason once you meet these offensive teams that really don't have flaws? 2022 Warriors, yes. 2024 Celtics, yes. But the way he's been able to build a defense to hide as many of the flaws as they've had, I value that a lot personally. And now when you have a one-of-one offensive player, I'd like him to be a bit more advanced in terms of what he does. But I'm gonna be honest, Luka by himself can make you a very good offense. So
is that his motto right there, Morris? Is it kind of like, yo, I'm gonna work on this defense on Luka?
I do think he's a defensive coach, and offense is a lot. I feel like he's a lot less involved offensively. But I feel like it's evolving. I mean, he spoke about it. I think he's evolving.
I do value a defensive coach. I do value a coach who turns defense into offense. I do value that. I just don't really see it that much, and that's largely due to how Luka is on defense. That's largely due to how Kyrie Irving is on defense. Even though Kyrie Irving will compete on defense, I feel like these guys should be better. I think the front line of their defense, with what happened with Derrick Jones Jr. last year, I feel like that was the crux of their defense more than anything. And I feel like if you're the lead guard, your lead guard should be better defensively, and he wasn't. And I think that's what's swaying me.
Well, he can't make Luka an elite defender.
I ain't asking you to make it. I'm not asking for Drew Holiday, but I am asking.
I think Luka had his best defensive year last year.
Bingo.
That just sounds like you suck less.
No, he was.
I mean, it's the same thing I said about Trae Young. No one really pushed back on that. It's the same
fellas, we got to keep pushing.
Luka's absolutely ass on defense. Go ahead.
No,
well, we discussing coaches. We ain't got time for that.
The next coach we got at 14. Well, we just spent the last 5 minutes talking about him. Rick Carlisle for the Indiana Pacers.
I had him at 18. I had him at 18.
I had him at 16. Yep.
He was another one with Doc Rivers that I could have been convinced to have lower, but I couldn't be bothered to have a whole conversation about it. But offensively, I like him. So
yeah, I think he did a great job last year. I think nobody can deny that what he did with the Indiana Pacers was phenomenal.
Nah, that stuff about his ability to handle those late game fouling situations is egregious. I'm sorry. There's no way with it 2 times within the same series you've messed that up. Like that's bad. That's bad. So like that moved me lower on him a bit. Defensively, I don't think he's really been that good of a defensive coach since the game has really evolved to where it has offensively. I feel like he's just not that good defensively anymore. But offensively, I think he's really, really good.
Morris, that late game, what you were just talking about, the fouling situation stuff, that's not bad. That's elementary. Okay? That's just elementary shit right there. This is something you don't even have to think about.
Yes, I'm not as high as, I guess, most people, but 18 is where I had him.
All right, y'all. At 13, and I believe this guy should have been higher, but here he is. For the Memphis Grizzlies, Taylor Jenkins.
I had him at 12.
I had him at 13.
I had him at 12. Yep. I had Coach Bud at 13.
I could see him as high as 11. That's what I went
16 with him.
I just really like what he's done with Memphis. Since he's got there, well, just with this core, with Ja, Jaren Jackson, and Desmond Bane, he's looked phenomenal with them. Obviously, last year there was obvious reasons why they were bad, but they have been successful, and his track record with Memphis has been phenomenal. I like the culture he's built. I also like how he's been able to deal with off the court issues and still be able to thrive.
And he still had them competing. Like they weren't a good team, but he still had them competing.
Everybody was like, "What are these dudes doing? Why are these dudes not on the floor? They should just be tanking every game." But no, they was fighting.
And everyone who was playing
do better than Mike Budenholzer. Help me understand this. What does he do better than Coach Bud? He's from Coach
Taylor
Bud's
Jenkins
coaching tree. So what does he do better than him?
100% in game adjustments. He's much better. 100% he's better in game adjustments. Defensively, specifically, he's better.
He's more creative defensively than Coach Bud, basically.
I think so.
That's what I would
one
say.
thing that wasn't mentioned with Bud, and I'm curious how other guys, how much do they use their players? Like how creatively do they use their bench lineups, and how well do they stagger their starters? Because it didn't take, like, it's very, to borrow a term from Ox, elementary to play your starters 40 minutes and run them into the ground. But you get a guy like Bud who always underuses his starters.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, how do you feel about that with Jenkins?
Penn, I love that. I love when you take guys that we've never really thought about or heard of, and you're incorporating them. We're like, yo, who is this guy? But yet he's giving you amazing minutes.
You mean like G.G. Jackson? How about him?
But no.
Vince Williams.
Guys like that.
He was the revelation for me.
They still got guys over there I don't really know about, but he play them and he gets the best out of them. He did
the same thing with Brandon Clark. I don't know who Brandon Clark is.
You're on the roster, you're gonna play.
Right. You're gonna get me. And I feel like Phil Jackson was like that, where if you was on the roster, you were gonna get run. Taylor Jenkins, he does a really good job at getting the most out of everybody that's on his roster, whether it's 5 minutes or whether it's 25 minutes. He's gonna get the most out of you.
And I really love how he's used Desmond Bane. I'm not gonna lie. That's part of it too. Desmond Bane, I think, has developed so much year on year. Offensively,
John that being there last year helped Desmond Bane.
But trusting him to take on that responsibility, that, like, not every coach does that, especially when it's a team that seems to have no hopes of doing anything. You could have shut Desmond Bane down, but no, he committed to Desmond Bane's improvement, seeing him get more reps on the ball, all those things. And defensively, I think he's a really good coach. Offensively,
there's a lot to be desired, sure.
But I had enough. I've seen enough to where I was comfortable having him at 13, but I could have put him as high as 11 because that's
going to change this year, Mars. That's going to change this year because of the big fella that he has. That offense is going to be different. It's going to change because of the big fella he got.
We'll see.
All right, y'all. Moving along to number 12. This should ruffle a lot of feathers.
Oh boy.
12. I had the champion.
Steve Kerr.
I had the champion. 12.
Steve Kerr.
Who's the champion?
Mazzulla.
Joe Mazzulla.
Well, no, he won't be at 12. It will be a champion, just not him. Steve Kerr is at number 12. How do we feel about Steve Kerr not being a top 10 coach right now?
I had him 5.
I had him at 11.
I had him 6.
I had him at the bottom of the league.
Oh yeah, you had him low, Chill. You had him low.
That's Jason Tatum. No, you standing up for JT. You standing up for JT. When you say bottom of the league, where'd you have him?
So basically, Joe Mazzulla came to help Jason Tatum. He's number 1. Steve Kerr benched Jason Tatum. He's number 30. All right.
Yeah, where did you have him?
Olympic coaching, NBA coaching, two different things.
I had him at 23.
Yeah, I couldn't convince myself of that low. As low as I could get. As low as I could. I could only convince myself as low as 15. But I had him 11.
Chill, look at what he did with Jordan Poole. Look at what he's done with Draymond Green.
Man, now we look crazy in Washington.
What?
I got him at 12. I got him at 12, but I've been saying Steve Kerr was hype for a long time though. As long as I've known you.
I think that Steve Kerr can coach. I think that the problem I'm having now is I feel like the game, just like and y'all gonna have a problem with the other dude that I have on the list. I feel like the game is passing them by. I do.
Oh, you have Popper like 19?
Yeah. Okay. No, I don't. No, I do not. No, I don't. I don't have him that low. But I feel like the game is passing Steve Kerr by. I think that he still implements the same philosophies that he did 6-7 years ago, even though the big man is doing very much what smaller guys are doing today. And he still won't convert that to the big man. He still won't convert that philosophy into his coaching philosophy. And I feel like what's going on in the game today is kind of passing him by. And I feel like he's getting left behind.
It's like, it's funny how much of the stuff you say, Cho, is exactly what Shaq would say.
O'Neal?
Yeah, O'Neal.
Family, it runs in the family.
I mean, we are family, but
but I mean, like, what do you think? Do you think the Memphis Grizzlies should run their offense through Zach Edey because he's? I don't
think that they should run their offense through Zach Edey. However, I do think that Zach Edey is going to make them better offensively because of what he can do. I ain't saying that we're gonna. I'm not. Don't get me wrong, Penn. I miss Olajuwon. Yes, I do. I'll be lying if I said I didn't miss Shaq. Yes, I do. But that's not the game today, right? The game is not a guy getting on the box and asking for the basketball. No, but to implement the big guy more in the offense, which is what I feel like Memphis is going to do, where they're going to implement Zach Edey in the mid-post more. They're going to speed the game up, and he's going to run more in transition. And that's going to make them a lot better because if Zach Edey can knock down that mid-post shot, that's going to make that Memphis offense a lot better because I think that there's going to be more spacing there because as a big guy, you got to come away from the basket and deal with him. And when you deal with him away from the bat, when you deal with that guy away from the basket, that opens up more offense for guys like Ja Morant at the rim.
You don't like what he's done with Draymond Green. You don't like what he did with Andrew Bogut. You don't like what he's done with Kevon Looney. I think he's. You don't like what he
implements. I don't think he implements Kevin Looney nearly. I mean, Kevin Looney wasn't he like KD coming out of high school?
Oh, crazy like that. We're long past
right.
Those hip problems. We're long past.
Instead, he looked like a bigger version of Udonis Haslem. That's what he got looking like.
He's fantastic in that role. That's his role. I think
100% it is. I won't argue that part. But if I got a guy who has that kind of skill set, I need to be implementing that more.
He lost that once he started having those hip issues that were keeping him out for seasons. He just doesn't move like that anymore. Kevon Looney now moves like a big. When he came in, he was that skilled 4, small ball 5. He could put the ball on the floor, all of those things. You watch him at UCLA, he could do that. When he started having those hip problems, it just doesn't move the same anymore. He's now a big. Like that's just how he is. I feel like he's done fine with bigs. I feel like the only people who think he hasn't done fine with bigs is the people who thought James Wiseman was going to be good.
I did think the Jays might.
I think it's fair to say though that the kids have not developed. Now, is that a drafting issue? Is that a development staff issue? Because they had John Mamalalela, who was one of the best development coaches in the league, and they didn't develop shit. I think Moses Moody, relative to a 14th overall pick, has underperformed. I think Jonathan Kuminga, relative to a 7th pick, has underperformed. I think James Wiseman is a bust. There's a lot of high lottery talent that had a lot of 5-star buzz coming into this program that hasn't exactly materialized into much. Is that because of Kerr's reluctance to use those guys? I don't know. I'm watching these kids play, and I wouldn't play him either. So I'm like,
you wouldn't play Moses Moody?
I like Moses Moody the most out of those guys. But I mean, but here's the thing. Last year he had 2 guys that I love in Trey Jackson Davis and Podziemski, and he played them, and he's willing to start some of them. Like he's willing to start as rookie. So I have seen Steve Kerr. It's funny that Chill is saying that the game has passed him by, and that that he's stuck in 7 years ago. I see the fact that he's willing to bench Klay Thompson as a sign that he has evolved considerably.
No, Penn. He's benching Klay because Klay can't move like he used to. Klay can't defend
how many coaches?
It's not because of his skill set. That's number one. Number 2, I'm watching him. I'm watching him put Kuminga on the floor and how effective Kuminga is. And then the next time he plays 25 minutes and Kuminga is taking 4 or 5 shots because he's not sure what he's doing because he's yanking him in and out of the lineup. That's screwing a player up.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like, and this we don't need to make it a Kuminga thing. I'm not gonna lie. Kuminga is not very good.
You don't think he's good?
And what do you think?
Defensively,
And
he's
why do
a
you
mess.
think
He's
why
a
do you
mess
think
on
that is,
defense.
Mars?
That's why he didn't play, because he's actually he makes their defense worse. That's why he doesn't play.
Like you. He has low.
That's why he doesn't play. He's extremely talented.
Up.
He's extremely athletically gifted. But respectfully, he can't create his own shot. The Warriors need someone who can create their own shot. And defensively, he's a mess in terms of feel for the game, knowing where to be, IQ, understanding their scheme. That's why he doesn't play. It wasn't because Steve Kerr didn't like him. It's because his most effective value on offense is scoring, but he can't create his own shot, but he can't pass. So the only way he's going to score is going to be off cuts.
Mars.
But
we
he
can't teach him how to do
screens.
that.
Yeah, but when a team is trying to win, you can't afford
that's
that.
The problem right there.
That's why, but that's not a Steve
him.
Kerr problem. But Podziemski played last year. You know why? Because Podziemski has high feel for the game. He's not a mess on defense, and he understands how to play within a Golden State offense. Jonathan Kuminga can't make quick decisions. You need to do that in Golden State. He can't set screens as a forward. You need to do that in Golden State. He likes to post up too much. No, he's not a good screener.
But this is the problem with drafting guys like this that don't fit
like he's too raw. He's not good enough to play for Golden State, and they're trying to win. He should have gone somewhere else. It's
a lot more simple than that, though, Mars. These young players, you know why they can't play. You know what's going on. They're scared. You seen what happened to Jordan Poole when he started playing good. He got his ass. they up there. They're like, man, if I play too good, this dude gonna beat the hell out of me. So you know.
Yeah, Kuminga's talented, but he's not. Kuminga's not an impactful basketball player. A winning team.
Jordan Poole got punched in the face for being a dumbass, not for being too good.
Well, I don't know what was said. I can't.
You don't mouth off to Draymond Green. You respect the champion.
Wow, who the fuck is Draymond Green? What I want to
All right, y'all. We got to move on.
Let's move on.
Yeah, this guy's on serious. But yeah, I mean, I think Kuminga can become something in the league, but he's all talent with no impact.
Is Ron using Swiper's Wi-Fi password right now?
Lord knows what he's doing.
Yeah, man. Swiper, you let me down. Can't believe this. But
Swiper got raggedy Wi-Fi too?
Yeah.
He's always pausing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He does.
Laggy ass.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
All right. Next, we have at number 11. Mike Brown.
My man.
I had Mike Brown at 10. He was my top 10.
Wait. Number 11?
Mike
Brown?
Where'd you have him? What? Top 5?
Yeah, where'd you have him?
I had him 8.
Now that I think on it, I might not even have had him that high.
Yeah, where'd you put Bullet Head?
I don't even see. Oh, I had him at 7.
Oh, okay. I had him at 10. I felt like he was going to be my baseline for the top 10. And then the list came out. I was like, I think he's better than Steve Kerr. I was debated with him in 9, but that's as far as I could go. Really good offensive mind, creative. But defensively, I think, especially when Keon Ellis got implemented into the lineup, I feel like the Kings defense really took a step up, and him being able to maximize the defense with Sabonis in the middle, I give a lot of credit for that. So, yeah, I think he's a really good coach. I don't think he's elite. I think there's only a select few that are elite, but I think he's really good. So I had him at 10.
My biggest issue with Mike Brown is benching Sasha. Last year, I think we could have used Sasha a whole lot more, and him not playing Sasha really it kind of had me a little upset with Mike. So I could have eased him into number 5 if he would have just played Sasha a little more.
All right, y'all. This is what the list is looking like right now. We have Quinn Snyder at 20, Doc Rivers at 19, JB Bickerstaff at 18, Jamal Mosley at 17, Coach Bud at 16, Jay Kidd at 15, Rick Carlisle at 14, Taylor Jenkins at 13, Steve Kerr at 12, and Mike Brown at 11. Fellas, it's time to get into the top 10. Let's go ahead and make it happen.
Let's do it.
All right. At number 10, coming in hot, we have Tyronn Lue.
I had him at 7.
Oh,
I had Lue a lot lower than that too.
I did too.
Where'd you guys have him?
That's small ball shit. It's I just can't get.
I had Lue at 18, Ron. I mean, I had him at 18. Yeah, I did.
I had him at 9.
I had him at 7.
Let me see. I had Ty Lue at 13.
I had him at 18.
I had him at 10.
It's not bad.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, I could.
But
Yeah, I can see it.
That's just the thing, though. It's like you can't. You got to be able to adapt. You can't just stick to one thing that you. I hate that.
I think he adapts to his offensive personnel. That's why I think I gave him credit. There's some things I really haven't liked in terms of like how he's guarded the Pelicans. Just haven't liked that. Some of the issues I've seen with just them defensively over the course of the season. The small ball, you know what I say, Tyronn Lue. Anytime there's an adjustment, I'll just take the big out the game. Like that's his go-to. But I feel like generally, I still feel
small
like he
ball
does.
merchant.
Yeah, I still feel like he does make good adjustments. And offensively, I feel like he always adjusts to his personnel and what he has, and does his best to maximize what he has. So that's why I had him at 7. But I could see him just outside the top 10. I could see that.
I don't think he implements. What's the big guy's name at the Euro?
Zubac.
The fact that Russ was able to involve Zubac in the game as much as he was, just as a rim runner,
Right.
I don't think that had anything to do with Ty Lue. Nothing. I don't think that had anything to do with Ty Lue. I don't think he implements his big guys nearly as much as he can. I think that offense is really stagnant. I can appreciate Mars's logic about how innovative he is, and I could get with that logic a couple of years ago. But a lot of that stuff is get a ball to James Harden and let him work.
Chill, I'm telling
when
you.
You have maybe the best isolation player of the last 10 years.
Sure, and even if that's true, right? Even if that's true, I mean, what has that gotten us? Especially when we have other players to implement other things in our offense, like catch and shoot, like other isolation players, like Paul George. But if we got one guy dominating the basketball like James Harden does, and just letting him work, I mean that puts a lot of strain on the rest of our offense. And I feel like he hasn't really come to terms with any of the other aspects of their offense. I think that's a huge problem with that.
I don't think he uses James Harden as much as you. I think he just runs a lot of isolation, but that's because he had Kawhi and James Harden, 2 of the best isolation players we've probably ever seen. So he just ran a lot of isolation. But him using James Harden in the high post as a playmaker, like those are things that move me a lot. Using Paul George off the ball as well as he does, like that was I like that a lot. Norman Powell off the bench was someone who he got
I did like Norman Powell off the bench.
Sure. So so offensively, I think he was really good offensively. But I did give him maybe a bit more grace than I would give to other coaches. So 7 might have been a bit high. So I could have seen him from like 7 to like 11 or 12.
I just hate James Harden.
Not as much as you hate Russ. So don't say that. Don't say that. Not as much as you hate Russ. So
no, that's not true. Chill. It's not true at all. I think I hate James Harden a lot more than I hate Russ.
Yeah, he not a James Harden guy, man. It's cool to. So was that 10?
Yes.
That was 10. Let's keep it pushing. One thing about Ty Lue, I do want to throw this out there. I think he is smooth on his way to being in that Rick Carlisle, Doc Rivers category. And I'm telling you, we are gonna end up calling him a LeBron James merchant if he keeps up doing what he's doing.
People already call him. But
the NBA, the whole NBA, Ron, the whole NBA is a LeBron James merchant.
All right, well, I guess that's not saying much. But at 9, we have Chris Finch.
What did I have Chris Finch at?
Chris Finch put his whole body on the line for his team last year.
Yeah.
Literally.
I had him at 14.
He was on
Chris showed me a lot last year.
I had him a little higher than 9.
High on Finch.
Yeah.
I had him at 14.
I had him at 14.
I had him at 6.
All right, at 8, we have Tom Thibodeau.
I had him at 9.
My man, Tibbs. I had him at 7.
I had Tibbs at the top 5.
I had Tibbs at 7. So yeah.
I had Mike Brown at
top 5. Yeah, he easily could have been top 5.
I had Mike Brown at 8.
I had 10. I had Tibbs at 10, but still.
Yeah, I had him at. I couldn't convince. For me, my top 5 was solidified. I'm gonna be honest.
I had him at 11.
You got to remember who was on that 2008 staff.
Facts. He was the defensive
coordinator. Sure,
he was an assistant coach.
He was the DC though, but yeah.
But that doesn't count. Let's move on. Assistant coaches.
I mean,
coaches punching air.
There you go.
I would have put him in the bottom 3.
We don't care. D1, we don't care. EuroLeague, don't care. NBA head coaches or bust.
Hey, once he got that Bulls job, I would have said he's not applicable. He would have been on the bottom of the list.
30.
All right, y'all. At number 7, the last NBA champion coach, Joe Mazzulla.
Jesus.
I guess
Joe Mazzulla is the better coach.
I had him at
Kerr
6.
and Tibbs.
And
Rick Carlisle. What are you
Joe
doing?
Mazzulla at 3. So.
I got Joe at
3?
6. I ain't mad at
I
it.
Joe Mazzulla at 3.
I got Joe at 7.
I got him at 12. Like I think the last 10 coaches, the top 10, they all could have took that Boston team to a
Wait,
ring.
Chill, where'd you
I get that, coach, but he
I'm at
did it.
15.
I can't knock him for doing what he was supposed to do.
I put him at 12. I mean, but
yes, wait. So where is he?
It was like Mazzulla should be fine, but
He's
I had him at
at
15.
he's at 7.
he getting better.
So that
now.
was
So
high.
I had him at 3. Hen saying he had him at 15. Coach is saying he had him at 12.
Yeah,
You had him at where'd you have him on?
I have him at 7.
7. Ox, where'd you have him?
6.
6 and 5. Okay, so you two had him outside the top 10. Okay, yeah, I had him at 3. So,
And mind you, I don't necessarily like his way of coaching. You know what I'm saying? What they shot the other day, 68 threes. Some crazy.
They get them up.
Some crazy shit like
That's what
that.
they do.
But hey, if that's
They
what
get them up.
you do, that's what you do. You know
He
what I'm
stay
saying?
with it.
Do your thing.
Disgusting basketball.
yeah, I mean, he when I spoke about what I think makes a good coach, he was like he ticked all the boxes, detail oriented, has his principles, explains his principles, sticks to them.
Mhm.
Player coach, speaks to his players, explains what he wants and why he wants those things. Like he embodies what I value in a coach. So
Right. He's
maybe he might not be
getting
as good
better?
as other people,
Yeah.
but
Are
maybe
his
he
players
might
getting
not be
better?
as good as other people. But when I say what I value in a good coach and he checks every single box, it's like, I mean, I don't know why.
I mean, the fact that him being not only a first year coach the year before and going to the Eastern Conference Championship, those guys buying into what he was doing, that's a pretty big deal for a guy that has never coached at that level before. And coming in, basically, I think he was a Division II coach before he got with the Celtics. He didn't get the job right from the Division II coach. No,
It really helps when you have a
was on
locker room like that. You know, Drew Holiday is an extremely coachable. Derek White, extremely coachable. Jason Tatum, extremely coachable. You don't have knuckleheads in that locker room, and that is a testament to.
That doesn't mean you can't lose those guys. You can be coachable and you can still lose them.
It's a lot harder to lose coachable players than it is to lose knuckleheads. Knuckleheads, you lose them in one practice. Okay? And the Celtics run a no knucklehead organization. Every single player that comes into that organization is Class A, right? So you just, I'm sorry, I cannot give you that much credit for getting a whole bunch of dudes who are wired to buy in to your principles. I mean, those players were successful with Brad Stevens. They were successful with Ime Udoka. They were successful with Joe Mazzulla, and they finally broke through. But hey, that's the big gap here. Okay, there's a massive difference between Drew Holiday and Derek White versus what Brad Stevens was coaching with.
I feel like there was a time when they may have lost coach when Coach Mazzulla had lost them. I think that in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think he lost them, but then he got them back. He did get them back in the East Finals, and they started to fight back. But to your point, Pam, when you're talking about your philosophies might not mesh with even if you're coachable. Your philosophies might not mesh with another player, even if he's not a knucklehead and he's coachable. And Coach Mazzulla, his philosophies mesh with what these guys are doing, and they bought into it, to what he was doing. Otherwise, especially a new coach, that's not easy to do when I have never coached at that level. Not just coached at that level, this level of talent. I mean, this team is a championship level team. It's hard for me to get these guys to buy into it. They got on board with him.
You can, and you can also lose a team like that. That's a no nonsense team. These aren't a bunch of wild guys. They're here to work. You can lose those guys. You certainly can, especially if you think with your little head and you know what I'm saying, you messing around with people's wives and doing all the wrong things. You know what I'm saying? You can certainly lose a team like that. You know what I'm saying? But
I just want to say for the record, Ime Udoka clearly is a better coach than Joe Mazzulla according to this list. So thinking with your little head still got.
I mean, I put
Ime Udoka ahead of Joe Mazzulla as well.
I mean, Ox, two heads is better than one head.
But that's a fact. That's a fact.
No comment.
but anyway,
you know what we talking about right
anyway, Ime is a better coach. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just talking about, you know what I'm saying, you can lose guys by doing the wrong things and acting and not being a stand-up guy. You know what I'm saying? It's just doing the wrong things off the court.
I debated Mazzulla at 2. I'm gonna be honest. I just think he's really good. So.
After 2 years, he's number 2.
I mean, I don't think I have to see a lot to like. I'm gonna be honest. I just think he's really, really good. I think Do I think a lot of coaches would have won with Boston? Yes, but I don't.
Can you think of one coach who wouldn't have won with Boston? I think that's a better question. One active NBA coach.
This is the point I was going to say. I think if you want to say all of them would have won in Boston, that's fine. Like I'm not praising Mazzulla because he won with Boston. I mean, part of it is I'm praising the fact that they had one of the 3 most dominant regular seasons of all time statistically, then dominated the postseason. Then it's their style of play. Then it's his principles. Then it's all of the things I said I value in a coach. So all of that into one is why I rate Mazzulla so highly. It's not just because he won a championship. It's the way in which he approaches every game, how meticulous he is, the attention to detail, what he values, all of the that's why I rate Mazzulla so highly. Win, lose, or draw. I just think he's a very, very good coach. And I think the hate he was getting last year in 23 was very, very unwarranted. But it is what it is.
All right. Here we go. Let's jump into the top 5. Before we do that, this is what the list looks like right now.
You didn't even tell us about email.
We know now.
Yeah, spoiler. All right.
Oh, yeah. There you go. That's why I put this on the screen. I got ahead of myself, and I knew I meant to do something. I put this on the screen to say at number 6, we have Ime Udoka.
I had him at 5, so I'm fine with 6.
But it's funny because I did say that he was ahead of him.
I had him
by deduction.
I think we all had Ime ahead of Jomas. Well, other than Mark.
I had Ime at 4. So
I had him at 5. Yeah,
I had him at 9.
I had him at 10.
I had Ime at where was Ime? I had Ime at 5.
Wrong.
You got Chris Finch over Ime?
I did. Yes.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I had him at 6.
No, I had Chris Finch at 5. I had Chris Finch at 5.
Yeah, Chris Finch over Ime. I'm not. Yeah, I can't get that. But
I'm
surprised
Popovich hasn't been named yet.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have Greg Pop in my top 5. But
I'm thinking this is a respect thing with Pop.
Yeah, I
put him 3rd, but I should have put him 9th.
Spoiler, I had Greg Popovich at 8, but I'm not surprised he's in the top 5.
Off of respect.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He in my opinion, is the greatest coach ever. He's the greatest coach ever, in my opinion. So
I had him at 3 off of respect.
Pop is number 1, and that's the only right answer.
See?
That's better.
Yeah, I'm fine with someone who says that.
I had him at 9.
Yo, back to Ime right quick.
I had him at 10. I'm sorry.
Back to Ime right quick. Is Ime being this high? Is a lot of this predicated off that year with Boston, or are you guys factoring in the year with Houston as well?
Last year, and he's going to go up higher too.
Yeah, he's
considering what he did last season. Ron. That Houston team was a grease fire before he got on that crew. They were a grease fire. It was basically Animal House. We had dudes swinging from the chandelier. There was no discipline. He comes in and he cleans that whole thing up. And there was a stretch where we actually had this team competing for a play-in spot.
Dudes was drying up each other and
all of that sort of stuff. He shows up, he completely changes the culture, and he completely changed the culture. The fact that you have a coach at that level who he will tell his star player, park your ass because you ain't getting it done, and I'm going to go with this guy in the meat and potatoes of games is a big deal for me. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, they respect the man. The man came from Boston when he went to the finals. And he ain't have the Porzingis. He ain't had a Holiday. So they're like, oh, yeah, he definitely know what he's doing. And he came in after his scandal and everything, and they still respected him. Like, he's a top-notch coach. For sure.
Yeah, for me, like, I respect what he's done in Houston. For me, that year in Boston was just – it was – what he showed me that year was different. Yeah. The way that they had KD boxed up and all of that in that finals run, like, yeah, they didn't win the championship, but everything he did that year, it was amazing. It was nothing short of spectacular, the way he used both of those two. So for me, this is heavily predicated just on that 1 year alone. And then obviously this year he did a good job. And I think we all just know Ime's a very, very good coach.
Yeah, Marcus Smart had a lot to do with that in Boston.
He did.
Right in Boston, Marcus Smart had a lot to do with that too. Though.
That wasn't a bad team. We're saying just because last year was a better team that we're looking down on the year before that. Our Orphan was still balling.
I'm not talking about the ability to play ball. I'm not talking about like that. I'm talking about just being a leader and you know what I'm saying, calling Jason and Jalen out on their late game antics and stuff. Marcus Smart had a lot with the turnaround that season. Not taking that away from Ime. I think Ime had a lot to do with it as well. Obviously, he's a head coach, but you know, shout out Marcus Smart for stepping in there and being a grown up in the locker room as well.
If he was better offensively, I'd have him higher. But
all right, y'all. On to number 5. We have Nick Nurse.
Pen, where did you have?
Overrated.
Because you spoke very negatively about him.
So let's see here. I probably had him outside of my top 10.
A little lower than that.
Nick Nurse.
I had Nick at 11.
Hey, Nick,
I had him at 13, 14.
I'm not sold on Nick. I'm not sold on Nick Nurse yet.
Why?
Yeah. I had him at 2. So
why you not sold?
I had him at 3.
I haven't seen what everybody else has seen yet. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think he's a good coach. I had him at 11. So I think I think he's a hell of a coach. I think he's a hell of a coach. I just haven't seen the separator.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it could be this year. I'm open to that. I'm open to that.
Look, man, it's a marketing thing. There's some coaches that are great at marketing themselves. The narrative writes itself. Oh, he used boxing 1 to stop Steph Curry. It's a high school principal, blah, 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 blah. And then a whole bunch of nerds start like talking about how great he is and whatever. I think he's a fantastic taskmaster. Like, he thinks the game really well. He's a great problem solver, super innovative, really interesting defenses, right? But I watched this guy.
Sounds like a top 3 coach to me.
Yeah, but it's going to be.
I think not a top 3 coach. I saw him foster a absolutely horrible culture in Toronto. I saw him basically have one of the jankiest, stupidest defenses ever, which everyone was trying to win the possession battle, which was so dumb and so uninspired thinking, you know, because he read some stats somewhere that a team that wins the possession game every single game, you know, like they have a 75% chance of winning. So he tried to rig it in reverse. This is a guy who renegotiated his contract the second he, you know, won a championship, which is like power to you. Then started wearing an NN hat. I don't know. He's bigger than himself. Like, his head is too big.
The hell does that to do with me coaching in my X and O's?
I think
he's been handed the privileged opportunity of a lifetime. Okay, let me be clear about this. Dwayne Casey built the culture in Toronto, 100%.
They had a culture.
He built, yes.
Okay.
They had a culture.
All
right. Are you debating that 2013 to 2019?
The most winningest team in the Eastern Conference.
Yes,
right. But I'm saying, how strong is that culture if right then you got rid of DeMar DeRozan just out of nowhere, didn't talk?
Well, hold on, DeMar and Kyle were a huge part of that culture too. But Dwayne Casey really unlocked them, because when they traded Rudy Gay away, they didn't think that team had a chance, and then they suddenly rallied off 47 wins. My point is, Nick Nurse came into a beautiful situation that most first-time coaches would never dream of. Most first-time coaches are coaching the Brooklyn Nets like Jordy Fernandez, right? So you get
you're not a first-time coach and you get a 59-win team. No, that's not what happens.
Yeah, that's not usually what happens. So a lot of people cry privilege when they see something like that. They say, well, how come he gets that and Steve Nash gets this and JJ Redick gets to coach LeBron and AD, right? What kind of weird thing is this? But Jordy Fernandez and Darko Rajakovic are coaching lottery teams. That seems like a little bit of a privileged situation. And now you're going to gas a guy up because he's a wonderkind, because in his first year coaching, he's going to win a championship. But what did he do after that? So he deserves some credit for innovative stuff. He also deserves a little bit of flack. His coaching tree has fallen apart from Chris Finch, who both his assistant coaches. I mean, kudos to him for developing those guys and getting them hired. They got fired within half a season with some horrible allegations.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Top 3 is weird to me though.
All right, y'all. These are the next 4 coaches. We're not going to have too much time to talk about them, but it is Mike Malone for the Nuggets at 4, Mark Daigneault for the Thunder at 3, Coach Pop at 2, and Coach Spo at 1. This is the list right here. Do any of you guys want to speak on the top 4 coaches?
Yeah, I think Mike Malone is way too high. Way too high.
Yeah, I had him at
what
6.
the hell?
I think I had him at 8. Yeah.
You got Jokic. You got Jokic as a coach on the floor who's seeing the game the way he's seeing it. You know, it's not the most.
I agree.
Stuff,
so that's Mike Malone.
You lose Bruce Brown. Pardon?
I mean, you could put any coach and say that when you got Joker. So is that Mike Malone?
We're trying to isolate the variable here. We're trying to say this is the coach. We're not saying, okay, well, you got Steph and KD. I mean, we got Steve Kerr, who won 4 championships down at 12.
So anybody with Joker can't be a
you had him at 5.
I'm not saying you can't be. I'm just saying, what have you done in non-Joker lineups? What have you done when you've lost some of those vets that helped you win that championship? Who did you beat to win that championship?
When did you have Mike Malone at?
Where did I have him? Probably 10. somewhere around
You think
there.
he better
Okay,
than
so
Nick
he can
Nurse?
coach. All right, okay,
You think he better than Nick Nurse?
he can coach.
Yeah, I had him at 6.
7.
I had him at
as high on
7.
the consensus. Yeah,
I had him
Oh.
at 7. My bad.
I had him at 7.
I'm not as high as the consensus on Michael Malone, but I still do think he's a really good coach, very creative offensively. Him being able to maximize Jokic's flaws defensively in terms of hiding them and how he implements him defensively. All of those
All
things
right,
I
Jill.
find very valuable.
Fellas, later. I'll get what you do tomorrow.
Yeah,
All right.
I think he's a really good coach. I just wouldn't have him in the top 5. But I think I wouldn't have Greg Popovich in the top 5 either. But I understand that one, so I'm not going to push back.
But that's legacy.
Yeah,
but sell me on why is Mark Daigneault worse than Mike Malone? Sorry, where was Daigneault on the list? Was he 3rd?
Yeah.
Behind
that's
Spo.
fair. I had him at number 1. That's my hot take.
Perfectly fine with that. I consider all of my top 4. I considered that one, but I went with Spo because I thought it was the safest option. So.
I think the way he connects with his players, like I think it's funny because Mark Daigneault and Coach Spo, Mars, would you say there's like anything that really differentiates these two and something that they have in common?
What, in terms of coaching?
Yeah, coaching, as people, whatever. Like what you've noticed, like is there some sort of principle that's uniting these two? Because they seem to be very high on most people's lists. I've never met a person who had them outside of the top 10.
Oh, last year Daigneault was at the top 10. I was the only one pushing the agenda. But I've never been asked that question. I don't know, is there something that's coming to your mind instantly? Because I can't think of that on the spot in terms of something.
I think they connect with their players really well, and I think they coach the entire roster. Like with Daigneault, you can tell he has a relationship with Ousmane Dieng, even though Ousmane Dieng does not play basketball for them, right? You can tell that Hayward Highsmith and guys that they, to the core end, like Spoelstra has their respect, right? They run pretty tight ship. They seem to have very united locker rooms, right? But I think also like there's some element of stability up top above them. Like they have the trust of their front office. Like I think Sam Presti is too. And I think it's worth saying, and this is where I think the crescendo moment has to happen for everybody listening to this who's talking about their coach being dumb or their coach being a bad coach. Can we please be real? When LeBron James got to Miami, he wanted Spo fired. He tried to push him out the door and try to convince Pat Riley to come back. And now everybody universally agrees that Eric Spoelstra is one of the greatest coaches of all time. So some of these young coaches, some of y'all, like some people might be like, oh, who's Jordy Fernandez? Who's, these guys? You might be looking 5 years from now, you might be looking at one of these guys as the best coach in the NBA.
Yeah, JJ Redick. Hey, that's who my money on.
My money is off JJ Redick. I wouldn't park 1 cent on that dude.
That's who my money on. He's gonna be the best coach in the league in 3 years.
Personally, I got Lee, but we'll just have to see.
I've liked how they've looked in preseason too.
Mm-hmm.
LaMelo Ball back. Well, all right, y'all. We got some super chats. You guys seen the coaches list. We got through it. All right, from the top, Gandhi KV2 said, respect Tom Tibbs, coach of the year.
He was in the top 10. He got respect.
Yeah,
he got action at that coach of the year too.
Yeah, I had him.
Yeah, he does.
Tibbs respected.
Gandhi KV2 also said, Kolick over Reed Shep. Chilltown, check this kid out. He's the real deal.
I like Tyler Kolick. No more than
I like him in Marquette, but I think Emma gonna get Reed Shepherd right in Houston.
Hopefully.
But they got that guard play in Houston, so it's gonna be tough.
Reed Shepherd gonna get MA right.
Yeah. They got that guard play in Houston. Van Fleet, you got Jalen Green. So he behind people. And Tibbs like
did last night.
45.
5 or 7 from the field. Hey, Morris, 100% from 3 last night.
Preseason.
1 for 1.
Preseason.
Hey.
Preseason.
1 for 1 is crazy.
Your Highness Charles said, did y'all see Ben Simmons said he's offended that people are saying he's stealing money? He said he feels disrespected by fans.
And fans,
the fans do disrespect him.
Yeah, he's
not wrong to feel disrespected. They actively disrespect him.
They do not like
what?
Look, man, I spent years trying to defend Ben Simmons. I'm off it. I can't.
Me too, Ben.
I
I have nothing left.
It's just like,
no, that's fine. You guys don't have to defend Ben Simmons.
You can hold down the fort all by yourself.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine running Ben Simmons fan club, but we can all acknowledge fans disrespect him. That's not.
Oh yeah,
not,
for sure.
Yeah, that's whether or not you think it's justified. He is perfectly right to feel like fans disrespect him. They do. He's perfectly in his right to feel that way.
Masink OG said, Pin, aren't you the same guy who said yesterday it's okay to say you don't know things? And everyone is telling you right now they don't know, and you fighting about it.
I'm not fighting people saying they don't know. When did I fight someone for saying they don't know?
I wasn't a big fan of that segment.
First 20 minutes.
Oh, the part
30 to 27.
I think that whole thing was overblown, man. Like I'm not pissed that someone's saying non-applicable. I hate the idea that a guy who's coached for 26 years has to be 30th on this list. That's it.
MP13 said Penn could have saved half an hour by just asking whether or not they believe prior experience is transferable to the NBA level, and is it applicable?
That's probably true. I probably could have saved half an hour. My bad. Hopefully it was interesting to somebody.
Nah, I'll run, man. Run, no control.
Penn, once again, it's nothing wrong with being wrong. Yo, chat. Let me have a talk with y'all.
Yeah,
Tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow. Chat. Just come back tomorrow. I got y'all.
Ron Robbins. Tony Robbins, Ron Robbins.
DSG Piccolo said, I just saw Sham say the Pelicans will essentially start Herb Jones at center. What are they doing over there?
I mean, if you watch the Pels, he was basically that center last year in terms of rim protection and all of this. He just did everything for them on defense. Okay. So if that's what they're going to do, it's like basically did it last year.
Eve Missy better get real good real fast.
Yeah, he's a little
shout out Trey Jameson too.
Shit.
He's a little way away. So
Derek Graham said, is there still PC football or am I tripping? Nah, Derek. PC football is not running right now, but who knows what the future holds? Might be PC football or even PC footy. You never know. Pimp named Slickback said, shout out to Jordy. Cooper Flag coming soon.
You got Cooper Flag. His name's Ben Simmons.
Definitely. Definitely not.
Pimp named Slickback also said Darvin Ham could have gotten to the finals with the 15 Cavs.
I don't agree with that. When Kevin Love goes down, then Kyrie's dealing with injuries throughout that postseason. The Bulls should have beat them anyway. I'm gonna die saying the Bulls should have won that series, but we ain't got time for that. But the Bulls should have won that series.
Mo said, chill, stay safe out there. Dub Ron, Dub Harden, Dub Mars.
Yeah.
Dub Mo. Still L Harden, but Dub Mo. Pimp named Slickback said Niners or Seahawks tonight. Predictions. Well, since I'm the only one up here who has a team in this game, I'm going to just let you know. They got to come up here, and we're going to send them back home with their tail between their legs. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all sleeping on Geno, but tonight, the world will wake up. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Sorry Key said, shout out Coach and Chill. Carried my 21 FYP.
For you, page. TikTok.
Coach, you going crazy on TikTok?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know.
That's humble.
I just be
very, very humble, very humble.
I just be talking.
Hey, Coach, once again, because we about to get up out of here, where can the people find you at on your socials?
Coach Hill B-Ball, YouTube, Instagram, 24/7 basketball on TikTok.
All right. Hey, y'all lock in and go follow him. If you haven't followed him yet, lock in and go make that happen. And before we get up out of here, we have a few more super chats. First off, we got a new member called the Diddler.
You ain't have to
share. Oh, Lord.
You have to share that.
The Diddler said, I got Karl Malone at 1 and
Josh Giddey at 2.
Ain't no party like a
Josh Primo.
And I don't know what that was going to lead to, but hey, that's that. But all right, y'all. We'll be back tomorrow. We got to talk about the 6th man of the year. We got to talk about the rookie of the year. We got to talk about the most improved player of the year. And this episode, we talked about coaches, but we didn't necessarily talk about coach of the year. So we'll get into that tomorrow. Salute to you guys. Open gym is next. So I'll see y'all over there.
Merry Christmas.
Don't forget.